Okay, calling the joint info briefing, Committee on Ways and Means and Committee on Hawaiian Affairs to order. Today, we'll hear from the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, who will be presenting their biennium budget. Good morning.
Morning.
You can start
Hello,
anytime.
Mr. Chairman, may I proceed?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Aloha Kakahiaka Chair Dela Cruz, Chair Shimabukuro, and committee members.
Aloha.
Mahalo nui for this opportunity to appear before you this morning. Members, we all share the desire for this new green Luke administration to succeed. As a recent candidate for office, I am sensitive to the potential headwinds facing this particular appointment. But after being encouraged to apply, I was honored to accept the invitation to serve in this position and return to public service. Public service is an intricate part of the fabric of my ohana, and it's an honor being asked to serve our community once again in this capacity. The Hawaiian Homes Commission Act was authored by our beloved Prince Kuhio, which offers a full circle opportunity to serve. As my kupuna served a Kuhio founded organization, I likewise have been afforded with an opportunity to serve our people. Raised by my grandparents, Whitney and Hanny Anderson, both who served in leadership roles in the State Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, which likewise was founded by Prince Kuhio. My kupuna instilled in me the virtue of service. Pop served here with many of you for 20 years, while my tutu served to empower women in competitive sports for many decades. As one who grew up in the halls of this capital, and as a former elected official who served as a policymaker, it is such an honor to come here before you on this side of the table this morning to share the priorities of the Hawaiian Homes Commission and the State Department of Hawaiian Homelands. To succeed, members, a leader needs a solid team in service alongside them. And the Department of Hawaiian Homelands is blessed to have such a team. I mahalo our team for putting together this testimony that we're going to be discussing this morning. Our two programs are planning and development for Hawaiian homesteads, in addition to administrative operation support. Today, our department is responsible for the management of 203,500 acres of trust lands and 9,980 homestead leases. Members, I do humbly ask for your favorable consideration, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair as well, for the 19 positions that we request in our sufficient sums budget, which is based upon the numbers that our staff has submitted from the 2012 Nelson lawsuit that would help to assist us in pulling the cart that we have for us forward. If I may, members, please introduce some of the members of our staff. Is that okay, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have my deputy, our department's deputy, Katie Lambert Ducat, who's a skilled attorney with thorough knowledge of the department. Our deputy director, Ducat, comes to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands from the State Attorney General's office. She was formerly a State Attorney General, who was a State Deputy Attorney General, who was assigned to the department. Our senior staff, Rodney Lau, our ASO, who I call our department superhero. When I was a budget analyst in House Finance more than 20 years ago, Rodney was the department ASO then. And he's brought a wealth of knowledge to our department. Stuart Matsunaga is our land development administrator, who's charged with helping us to move all of our projects to fruition.
Yes, Chair, make sure you raise your hands. Yeah.
Rodney Lau, Stuart Matsunaga. We also have with us our deputy directly behind me, Katie Lambert Ducat. Our staff that's here supporting us today, Juan Garcia, Dino Shiro, Lehua Kinilau Keno, Hokulei Lindsay, Paula Aila, Peter Kahana Albinio, Andrew Choi, former state representative Stacy Eli, Kana'i Kapeliela, who is good to see you, Niniao Kavaihai, and Alan Kekoa Tekshera. Members, as mentioned, I've served as a passionate.
Excuse me. So you mentioned the name and the position of some people, and others you just mentioned the name.
Yes, sir.
So can you maybe also be consistent and provide the position that those people have?
We could do that, Mr. Chair. Kahana Albinio is our land management. Mr. Chair. Dino Shiro and Juan Garcia assist with our budgeting and positions. Niniao Kavaihai is our Nahazda coordinator as well as a special assistant to the chair. Alan Tekshera is also an ASO and special assistant to the chair. Andrew Choi is with planning. Paula Aila is with our constituent and beneficiary services. Stacy Lynn Eli is with our beneficiary outreach. And Hokulei Lindsay is one of our ASOs and executive assistants who also assists as a special assistant as well as providing support with our budget, Mr. Chair, and our positions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and Madam Chair and members, in discussions that our team has had with beneficiaries across our state, beneficiaries have expressed uncertainties with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Our team's vision for our department is fivefold. And based upon the discussions that we've had with staff, we will refer to it as a 5-point plan. We aim by the end of the first quarter of this year, to have 4 requests for proposals on the street in 4 counties. We aim to restart our quarterly meetings based upon our regional plans. There are 18 of them, to rebuild trust and to address uncertainties. As we've started to move to the neighbor islands to talk with beneficiaries, and even here on Oahu talking with beneficiaries, it's been made apparent that we need to regain the trust of our beneficiaries and also to let them know that we are here to serve them and that we have the resources to provide the services that they need. 3, we will also be aligning assets, collaborating with fellow agencies, particularly the State Department of Transportation, the Department of Education, the Department of Health, and the Department of Land and Natural Resources. 4th, our team planned to pursue multi-family homes, as Governor Hige had allowed when he introduced a change to administrative rules. We're even looking at possible rental kupuna homes based on the model that is used at Kulana Kauhaleo Na Kupuna in Waimanalo, which has been in existence and thriving for 20 years now at least.
Which page are you on your testimony?
This is just our vision, Mr. Chairman. I'm about to get to my testimony right after this. Thank you, Chairman. Chair and members, we're also looking 5th to look at land acquisition to provide for single-family, low-rise to mid-rise housing opportunities in addition to the rental opportunities that I mentioned.
If you don't mind, can you submit the vision statement to the committee?
I can absolutely do that, Mr. Chair. Yes. Yes, we can do that. Mr. Chair, mahalo for the historic appropriation to our department recently. You and your colleagues, you've provided our department with the opportunity to deliver housing and to put our Native Hawaiian people back on the land. The Hawaiian Homes Commission Act is certainly Prince Kuhio's effort to codify our Native Hawaiian people's right to return to their land and to be able to thrive. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That is the opening vision statement of our department. So Chair, in the opening vision statement that I presented, based on the discussions that I've had with staff directly over the last week, some of the things that we plan to introduce that we're asking for, the 19 positions, please, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman and members, is one of our top priorities to help us pull this cart across the finish line and helping us to be able to provide homes to our beneficiaries, Mr. Chair. That is at the top of our asks. Chair, we also go into the leases that we have. If we look at page 3, we talk about some of our deliverables. Calendar year 2023, where we anticipate offering these lots in the following locations. I just would like to point out, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair and members, on page 3 in that table, the lots at Anahola, Kauai, and the lots at Ka'u, Hawai'i. Although it says calendar year 23 will be awarded, those have already been awarded. So already ahead of schedule on those. And we're looking for other opportunities.
So are you referring to the list on page 3?
The list on page 3, Mr. Chair, that was my error.
So of those list of projects, those are all out?
The others will be, we anticipate putting out in calendar year 2023. But the top 2, Anahola and Ka'u, have already been awarded.
Okay, so from Kona to Maku'u,
That's correct.
that's not out.
We plan to let those out.
By when?
That I don't have a specific timeline yet for you, Chair. I'm happy to provide that in writing as a follow-up, if that's okay with you, sir.
Okay.
If we're talking about the particular area, can I question one in my district? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait, are you
Thank-
finished? Are you finished with your whole testimony?
I'm finished with my testimony, sir. I'm happy to take
Okay,
questions.
so you didn't want to go over there? Because you guys have what is that? How many pages is that?
319.
No, this is letter. This is testimony. His testimony is,
I'm happy to get into the rentals and the multifamily, Chair, that we're looking at, the Bolodrome, if we are prepared to discuss that.
My question was only on the.
Chair's prerogative.
Subdivision, that's all.
no, but I'm just wondering if he's done, then we can just open it up, but.
Okay.
We
you have
could, Chair,
16
if you'd
You have
like.
16 pages.
We could open up for questions,
Is there
Chair.
anything you want to highlight? I guess is what the chair wants to know.
What I would like to highlight, thank you, Senator Keith Agron, Vice Chair. What I would like to highlight on page 4, our rental and multifamily, is finally shifting now with the 2019 allowance to provide rental and multifamily. There are so many beneficiaries who, for whatever reason, will simply be unable to qualify for a mortgage. So these opportunities in rental and multifamily will allow for more affordable homes geared to more beneficiaries so that they can have housing opportunities. The property at 820 Eisenberg Street that was awarded to Stanford Car Development, we're hoping to be able to break ground on that, Mr. Vice Chair, by the end of the 3rd quarter of this year. So fall of this year, the Bolodrome is what we're hoping to do. We are also looking to acquire additional properties for similar opportunities like that in possibly the TOD district on Oahu, Transit Oriented Development District on Oahu, and on the neighbor islands where those communities desire low-rise multifamily opportunities.
So which monies are you using for East Kapolei and Mo'iliili?
I'm sorry, Chair.
Which monies are you using for East Kapolei and Mo'iliili?
Chair, I know for the Stanford Car Development, that was for monies that you folks had appropriated. For East Kapolei and for Mo'iliili, I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. But if I may call staff up, we can answer that if that's okay.
Bring somebody up.
Stuart or Rodney, would you please come up? But the 820 Eisenberg Street was a legislative appropriation.
Yeah, but yes,
Please.
Hello, chairs and members, Stuart Matsunaga, I'm the acting administrator for Land Development Division. For East Kapolei, right now, what we're engaged in is completing the backbone infrastructure for the various villages in East Kapolei. Once that design is completed, then we plan to go out to RFP various villages.
Where's the funding coming?
The funding is coming from Act 279.
That's part of the 600.
That is correct. So
so
Okay, so in table 15, though, you're coming in this year for additional CIP. What is that intended to do for lump sums?
the lump sum are for
And
other
is that gonna
projects.
interfere with your expenditure of the 600 million?
I don't think it's going to interfere with that expenditure. There are other projects that are not covered under Act 279.
Okay, do you have a list to go so that we can take a look?
Sure, we
I
can
mean,
provide that.
When we're reviewing this, what, $200 million for lot development statewide? I mean, I think we're kind of interested in seeing what you plan to use the money for, just as we were interested in how you're planning to use the 600 million. Has that plan been provided? I think the legislation calls for a plan. Has that been submitted to the legislature?
Plan has been submitted. Commission has approved the first year of encumbrance. So that can be also be provided. We can provide the commission's
How much was the
Submit.
encumbrance so far?
so far we have approximately $13 million encumbered. We have 35 million in process of contract certification. So that would bring us to nearly 50 million.
And then the R&M money, can you also provide a breakout of what you can?
We can do that. Much of that expenditure will be going towards sewer remediation, drainage remediation statewide.
But some of the sewer though, are you still in dispute with the city on who's responsible for sewer? On some of your lines?
Yes, sir, we are. We're still in dispute. And so we're going through analysis and investigation on existing sewer systems that may not meet county standards, and therefore the city has not accepted those.
You have
Systems.
something in writing that they will accept if you bring it up to standard?
We have Act 224 that was enacted in 2014, which lays out the implementation of that. And so we're going through the investigations now of existing sewer systems. And based on that, working with the city to determine what remediation is needed. And so
Is it mainly the city that's? Is it mainly the city that's subjected to taking your sewer systems, or some of the other counties also?
primarily City and County of Honolulu. We have
Well, maybe your chairman
Yep.
can help with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
all of
Mr. Chair, can I follow up
Oh,
questions, please?
Oh. Senator No had a question.
Yeah, going back to, thank you so much. Going back to the subdivisions, I noticed that you included the Honolulu ag lots. But I was there already when we had the groundbreaking last year,
Yes, Senator.
in early spring. So what's the issue? It hasn't been put out to the market yet. I thought that was done last year, so just a refresher.
My understanding, Senator, yes, it was done last year. At this point, we're planning to put it out later on this year. Do we have a more definitive?
So the infrastructure was cleared.
So for Honolulu Phase 1, which is 16
Right,
1
now
acre
60
lots,
lots,
yes.
yeah.
So we did break ground earlier. We are under construction right now We've had some issues with the weather. And some of the grading issues. And we're trying to comply with the county requirements so that the county would accept the roadway for maintenance so that DHHL doesn't have to expend further expenses on that. So thank you for that question. So yeah, we're nearing completion. I think it's around the summer that we should be completing that.
And Chair, to follow up on the Vice Chair's question on the CIPs, you have $10 million lapsing. Kapolei and several others on table 16 CIP lapse. What are you gonna do with those monies? There's 9 million and there's another one.
That is correct.
Oh,
That 9 million was
so it's
reauthorized
actually
for Leali.
Gonna be lapsed.
Correct.
And then, yeah, and the 1 million?
The 1 million was for, believe that was for land acquisition that did not go forward.
The other one is small, was only like.
Yeah.
700,000 or something like that. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Kim.
Good morning. Thank you. I just
Morning,
want to go back to the lump sum. So you're asking for 62 million and 34 million plus lump sum. All of those projects are going to be done this year or planning, you're going to expend it when?
Senator, I'm sorry, what page? Is this page 15?
Table 14, CIP request. That Vice Chair was talking about just a little earlier. Yeah, you're just asking for a lump sum of all that money. And he asked you earlier about if you're going to give us a list of the projects. But I'm wondering if you're going to be able to expend all of this money when you're letting other monies lapse.
Do you guys have a breakdown of the 600 million?
I'm sorry, it's table 50.
Yeah.
Table 50.
No, just in general, so that we can see and compare the 600 million versus the other asks.
Are you asking, Senator, I'm asking the question, are you asking if we have a total breakdown of the planned
Yeah,
expenditures of the?
Well, because we had asked earlier about one of the projects, the 2 projects, and you said that's probably going to come out of the 600 million.
Yes, that's correct. What we do have up to this point regarding the $600 million is the Hawaiian Homes Commission approved plan that was sent to the legislature in December. That's what we have up to this point.
Okay,
We are in discussions, we
then-
meaning our team.
but you knew that
About that.
project was going to be in the 600 million.
Yes,
Because I think it'll be easier for the members to figure out what's in the 600 million and then what are you asking on top of that?
Right.
So that's,
fair, Senator. Senator Kim, fair. We can go back and readjust that, Senator Kim, and get that to you. But to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, yes, that's from the $600 million as
But I think
outlined.
she's sort of following up on the question I had for Stuart, which was, is the additional money going to interfere with implementing the 600 million? Sure.
Not just
or
that,
is it
but-
included?
but what is it? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of money to be spent
Sure.
in the
And
expiennium
I think
and
I
six,
asked them
yeah.
to, if they have a breakout for that.
and whether that's part of, yeah, it's very confusing, Mr. Chair. So thank you, because we should see all the
Oh,
600 money, all the monies and what they're going for, not just a lump sum, because just to give you 62 million and 34 million lump sum, I don't know that I would vote for that.
So when do you think you're going to be able to get that by?
We'll go back with staff today, Mr. Chairman, and start putting that together for you. We'll work to have that to you by Friday, if that's okay.
Wait, so you made a request for this much, and you don't have the.
Yeah,
We'd like to go back and just take a look to make sure that it's presented in the clearest way possible. What we do have Exhibit B, item C5, that we have gone over, which is our capital projects. This is,
where is that? What page is that?
Sorry, it's the other side of the page. We do have this from our Administrative Services Officer, Rodney Lau, in regards to the submitted approval of the Act 279, which is in regards to our budget. But Chair, if it would help to present this in a different way, I'm happy to go back with staff. We can put these numbers together. for
So
you
I'm
guys
just
by the end of the
wondering,
week.
why ask for additional monies when you still haven't spent the 600?
Chair, that's a very fair point. What I would say is we are working as a team, Chair, to ensure that we can provide for our beneficiaries. And it would help us, Chair, if we'd be able to look at this.
A follow-up.
And sufficient funds, budget also, Chair. Going back to the Nelson case of 2012, with the sufficient funds. To ensure that we're not challenged again,
Yeah, but
Chair.
Yeah, but that's.
600 million, if you can't spend
understand.
it, additional sufficient funds, but you still can't spend it, doesn't make sense.
I understand what you're saying, Chair. I believe we can. With this current team that we have behind of us, Chair,
You can spend the
believe that we
600
can.
million before it lapses,
I believe we can.
but you
We're gonna
don't have
work
a
to that effect.
breakdown.
Why aren't you showing it to us if you?
Plus, I believe that we can, Mr. Chair.
How do you know if you don't have the facts?
Okay, Senator Kehoe.
Yes,
Well, now I got a new question about how the ARPA like MOE requirements are gonna comport with you meeting the lapse date. But back to the original question, maybe I missed it, but originally you said that you intend to initiate 4 RFPs.
yes.
Are those specifically toward the Act 279 plan, or are those do those RFPs apply to the like previously existing and appropriated development?
So on all of these, we're looking at all islands. That's a preliminary at this point. If I
But
could-
is that to facilitate the Act 279 plan?
Yes,
with the
it
four
is.
that were, yes. Yes.
Yeah, but they don't have it in a breakdown, because even when you look at, I think it's for the members, it's page 196. That's the strategic plan that Senator Tegoit had asked to be in the 600 million language.
Okay, so yeah, so my first question is my question, which is how does your execution of the Act 279 commission approved plan comport with the MOE restrictions that we know are going to be in place until we've exhausted the ARPA money, I think for the next year, right? Especially because I believe the commission approved a request for legislation to extend out the lapse date.
Senator, may I bring up our Deputy Director?
Sure.
If I may.
How are you saying you're going to spend all the money if the commission just asked for an extension?
Senator Keokalole. Rodney
Rodney.
Lau.
Happy New Year.
The BNF approved 172 million to be spent in year one of the 600 million. So the department did provide BNF a plan, project list, amounts, and under the MOE, the department could not spend more than $52 million. So that's the restrictions that we have to live with, and at the same time, get the projects out. So under the commission plan, the way they program the projects, they have $540 million worth of projects that they plan to implement. And 60 million was for loan products. So that's all part of the plan that the commission sent to the legislature. And I think under the commission plan, they plan to do 11 developer agreements. Yeah, in that.
So how do those comport with the four RFPs?
Those are essentially part of that plan.
Okay.
And so it addresses projects in different counties that are going to be Act 279 will be used to encumber those development agreements.
And so, Chair, is it your intention to continue to, or to pursue a request of an extension of the Act 279 lapse date?
You're asking if we're,
Or are you gonna spend the $540 million in 2025?
we haven't had discussions up to this point,
No,
Senator.
he said he can get it done.
But then how are you gonna
We haven't
get it
had
done?
that discussion.
Yeah, how
Do
you
you- I'll just stop. Thank you.
Well, there's no sense in extending the lapse because he just said he can get it done.
Do you have to go back to the commission? Are you going to depart from the plan? And are you going back to the commission in order to do that before, well, I guess during the legislative session?
Yes, plan to go back to the
Okay,
commission.
so we should
Yes.
expect GMs on the Act 279 plan
Yes.
that you will simultaneously be taking to the commission to get approval on
That is correct, Senator.
while you're pursuing legislative amendments to Act 279.
That is correct, Senator.
Okay,
No, but why
thank
would why would you need a GM if you already have the money? Because the GM is only to ask us to add additional monies to the budget.
Well, we do plan to go back to the commission to talk about the plan that was submitted to the legislature in December. In our conversations with this administration, there may be some other items that the administration wants to look at, perhaps additional rental housing as we discuss. And there have even been discussions about providing grant monies, as has been suggested by some of our beneficiaries for homes on DHHL property.
well,
So
I
there may
guess
be some departures.
what would be most helpful to these two committees is some clarity as to whether you need a legislative extension of the Act 279 lapse or not. Because it looks like about $540 million are at stake if you cannot execute in 2025.
Okay, but
Thank you.
I'm getting confused because why would you need additional GMs for additional monies? And at the same time, you're asking for an extension on the lapse.
I think I'm gonna put the bill
How
in.
much money do you want that we're not gonna spend?
Senator, I believe we can spend on the money. We haven't had conversation about extensions up to this point with the administration. That conversation I have not had with the governor.
Okay, so what are the GMs that you
Well, but the
said-
commission approved pursuing legislation
The
to request a
commission,
lapse.
yes.
Is that correct?
The commission did approve legislation that was attached to the report submitted to the legislature last month.
Right,
Yes.
requesting an extension of the lapse date in anticipation of not being able to fulfill execution of the money,
Yes,
in part because of the MOE obligations attached to
Yes.
ARPA.
yes, the commission did submit that, but I haven't had discussions with the governor as to where he is on that. I haven't had those discussions with this current administration yet. So that discussion I haven't had.
I hear what you're saying, but one, he already said he can spend it. Two, why would you send down additional governor's messages if you still have the 600 million that you didn't spend? I don't understand.
I have a follow-up too. I mean, I just heard from Stuart that the money that you're asking for this year is not going to interfere with the use of 600 million. Yet now you've also said that you've been limited by BNF just spending no more than 50, right? So which is it? If we give you this additional money, are you gonna be able to spend the 600 or not?
We have a limit up to 172 million to encumber the funds. So that's what we're doing in year one. You know, we're trying to encumber the funds, and then as the MOE disappear in 2023, 2024, then we'll be able to start expending on those projects.
So it's 428 million in 2025 we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but you don't have a list of what projects you would need that you're considering for us to extend the lapse.
Um,
How are you spending the 400?
If I could, the department's understanding is that, under Act 279, we need to encumber 600 million, not necessarily expend out because, some of the projects that we are working on.
Yeah. But wouldn't you need some kind of contract in order to encumber?
Yes.
Yeah, so you would know how you're spending it.
Right, so we do have that list, as Chair had pointed out, that we can provide. This is the list that the Hawaiian Homes Commission had approved before Chair taking office. And so,
Okay. So
we
can you
can-
share that list with us?
yes, so we can do that. We can also share the list of
Why don't you have the list?
sufficient sums asked.
Do you have the list with you? Because we can make copies.
Yeah, why
I
don't you have
believe
the?
that's,
it's on page 19.
Isn't it in the plan, the commission plan?
I'm trying to, it's on page.
page 3 of 11 has purpose 1 and purpose 4
I don't see the.
projects listed there. So
No, but mine is about the 470.
There's only two of them.
Is that under the active contracts as well?
no, ma'am, it's sufficient sums, request for lot development, 62.65 million is on page 3 of the testimony.
Okay, wait. The breakdown is on which page?
It's on page 3 of the testimony.
We have a separate section for the sufficient sums. Budget as approved by the commission.
Okay.
So page 3 of the chair's testimony?
Yes.
It's in the second exhibit. 13, 14, 15.
So I just see in calendar year what he talked about. 2000, Anahola all the way to Maku.
Okay. Chair Dela Cruz, just clarification. So there's 16 pages in the testimony, and then there are exhibits following page 16. And the projects are listed on page 3 of 11. Attachment B1.
Which? 19. So that has page 19.
That's the active
This is
contract.
an operating cost. Page 19. Page what of 11?
3.
3. But that still doesn't equal the 400. he's talking about. So that starts off with the lot development.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but that doesn't equal the 400 that he's talking about.
Okay, this is part of sufficient sums and not part of Act 279.
Yeah, so I think what we're asking for is from the 600 million, what's the breakdown? You said you're going to be able to spend 170, 100.
74 million.
172 million.
So if you have that, and then where's the rest that you want us to extend the lapse for? Where's those list of projects?
We also have that approved by the commission. So we have both years of Act 279 shown.
No, but that
Yeah.
doesn't equal.
So the 172 million is for fiscal 2023. 2024 is 367 million. Is that the one?
Yes.
So it shows the breakdown. We'll just go in whatever. Yeah, for the 600 lots. Is that the breakdown you guys talking about?
Yes.
But I don't see it broken down in 400.
So even for 2023 and 2024, even we put that together, it comes out to 540, is it 540 million? Is that the one?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, what page is that?
Okay, the one that I'm looking at is not development. It ends with 139 million.
That is for fiscal year 25.
Okay, but that's 3 of 11. You said to look at page 3 of 11.
Right, so fiscal year 2024 total 62.65 million.
Yeah,
That is part of the sufficient sums, and that was, I believe, Senator Kim's
okay,
question.
okay, so where's the rest of it though?
So this is sufficient sums, and the other table that is going on is the Act 279 approved encumbrance plan.
Yeah, what page is that?
This is in the, okay, it's not in the testimony,
Yeah, that's, I
We
think that's what we're
apologize.
asking
That's-
for.
That's,
so,
that's from the commission
yes. that
submittal
is-
from December,
Yes,
that number.
Okay, the submittal from the commission, the strategic report, I don't see that attached. What page is the report?
I didn't attach that, Senator.
No, it's in here.
Just make 2 copies.
The strategic plan is on page 196 for the members, but I don't see the breakdown as part of the plan. Yeah, I don't.
Hi, may I? Good morning, Deputy to the Chair, Katie Ducat. So yes, there's a lot of confusion. So what was presented as far as the primary testimony today had to do with our sufficient sums budget.
Where's the-
And that is separate and apart than the plan that the commission passed. And I think what you're missing is that the actual strategic plan, the narrative part, is supposed to be paired with an implementation.
What we want to know is how you plan to spend the 600 million,
Yes,
okay? That's the questions that are being asked. And whether or not the additional money you're asking for, how does that fit in with whether or not it's gonna interfere with spending 600 million? I mean, we expected you guys to come here prepared.
Well,
yes, sir.
I see, I mean, I'm looking at page 17 of the strategic plan. That's what you're talking about, right? All those projects. Maui County lot development. But there's no dollar amount.
Yes, and that's separate. So that was, there should, in addition to the strategic plan, what should have been,
No, but they're telling us, oh, but
Presented.
we have it. It's in the strategic plan, but it's only the list of lots, not the dollar amount.
correct. So there was a separate, when the commission approved its strategic plan in a separate document, it approved an implementation budget. And I believe, and I'm holding it, I believe the senators do not have that, and
Well, that's
we can give you that. I apologize. Yes.
Wait, but you intend to depart from this plan anyway? Right?
I'm sorry, Senator.
You intend to depart from this plan?
The plan that was submitted,
Yes.
we are in discussions with the governor to differ from it, yes.
Okay, so how does that expose us
Yes.
to liability under Nelson?
Well, that's those are some of the discussions that we're having, Senator. I haven't had the opportunity to talk directly with the State Attorney General, but those are one of the questions that we have for the Attorney General in addition to some other questions.
Well, I don't think you really need to talk to the Attorney General about the fact that we got sued and lost by beneficiaries under Nelson because the governor repeatedly over multiple years departed from the commission's guidance on what to request the legislature for funding on. And so to me, we're having this whole discussion about what you're going to build, but you've already said you're going to depart from it without commission approval. Doesn't that expose us to liability?
Well, we can't depart from the plan without commission approval. Sir, I'm well aware of that, Senator. What we are in
So why-
discussions,
We don't really need to. We should wait for the GM.
what we're in discussions with the governor about, Senator, is additional ideas and policy that this administration may have. The commission's first meeting of January is next week. So I haven't had an opportunity to talk with the commission on that because I cannot. But we do plan to talk as a commission and as an administration about other potential opportunities, such as providing possibly mortgage grants on DHHL properties for our beneficiaries, if that's something we want to do. We've had those discussions as an administration, but not with the commission.
But how are you going to be able to get the commission to approve a departure from their plan with enough time to submit those changes to the legislature for us to approve them while we're in session?
And that's a discussion, Senator, that I do plan to have with the commission. I just haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, but that I do plan to have that discussion
So
with the commission in an open meeting.
But that would be monies in addition to the 600 million, because the
It's a
GM,
departure from the
Yeah, yeah,
allocation,
yeah.
which
But
is
the-
why we don't need to have a discussion about
Yeah.
what they're planning to build, because they're planning to do something else with the money.
but the 600 million, they don't need, they already have it. So they don't need a GM for that.
No,
I-
they need to get the commission to approve a departure from the Act 279 plan, or
Yeah.
we will be sued again.
yeah,
And the members are all
Right.
the same except for you.
I'm sorry?
The members are all the same except for you.
Yes, with one vacancy in West Hawaii. Yes. But I have not spoken to the commissioners. Next week, Senator. Next week, Tuesday, and next week, Wednesday is the first commission meeting of January. Of 2023, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Senator. Could you please repeat your question?
You get approval from the commission to do what you're talking about. You're gonna have legislation ready to do this part of the governor's package? Or do you want us to go and replace something?
No, Senator, we certainly would not ask you to gut and replace anything. No. Absolutely not.
Yeah, but then you're missing the deadline. You can't introduce anything after.
Well, Mr. Chair, we're having discussions with the administration about possible departures. No decisions have been made.
Yeah, but
Decisions can't be made because I haven't had a chance to talk to the commission yet.
no, but your timeline for discussion should match the legislative calendar of when you can submit ideas, because no sense you have the discussion after the deadlines and you're gonna have to wait a whole year.
Unless you're asking for an extension.
I am not here today asking you for an extension, Senator. I'm not doing that today.
Mr. Chair, just one technical question for Stuart. You mentioned that you folks turned in the 172 million, you provided the details to B&F for Act 279. Is that information here?
Yes,
It's included?
we're,
Yeah, that's what we just passed
So
out.
what we
Yeah,
just passed out? Okay.
so that's what we just got from them.
because I have some questions. So how do you intend to depart from this plan?
We haven't had discussions, Senator, Madam Chair, exactly how to depart from the plan. Or we haven't made any definitive decisions to depart from the plan. Again, I haven't spoken with the commission. We've had preliminary discussions over the last week with the administration where we've talked about potential grants for down payment on homes on DHHL property. That has come up, but I can't talk with commissioners outside of
So
regularly
why
scheduled
would the commissioners and the department go through all of this work And then we're gonna depart them because you like do some kind of mortgage thing or something else for our beneficiaries. You know, earlier part, you talk about how you guys gonna go rental, Bolodrome and all of that, yeah? Not one time I heard anybody from this department and previously to you ever say, how we gonna have and how we gonna teach and qualify our people that is on the list or potentially be on the list. Never had that educational process. Now we're gonna go and say that we're gonna go with rental. How you gonna qualify people for rental if they can't even buy? That's the reason why if you look on the west side where we live, we have high Hawaiians living on the beach, pure Hawaiians living on the beach. Not because they're druggies, not because they're alcoholics, it's because they cannot pay their rent now. Why are we not educating our Hawaiian groups? Because even though you give them on rental, how are they gonna keep up with the payment on renting? That's the reason why they're on the beach. Electric, balancing the budget, balancing the checkbook, that's why they're out there. So if we're gonna keep band-aiding this thing, putting this and then you like divert from this plan, and then you like put band-aid because you like do rentals, sound great. But how are we gonna educate our people to stay in the homes?
Do you have a financial literacy plan or component or program? And how is that gonna get implemented and where is that in your budget?
Senator, we had discussions with staff yesterday in regards to just that, as I outlined at the top of my introduction when I talked about restarting our quarterly community meetings. When we restart those meetings are going to be based on the 18 regional plans that have already been submitted. When we have those meetings, Mr. Chair, we are planning to go out and offer these types of services. One that was talked about.
So do you have that, do you already have that capacity?
Do we have
that capacity for financial literacy? Which division implements that?
Sorry, so education components, financial literacy. So Paula Ayla is the administrator for our contacts and awards division. And I believe when, I'm not sure about the rental program, but at least when they are about to get an award, she is part of the process of getting an applicant ready to receive an award, and that does include financial components, education classes is my understanding. In fact, sometimes some of the frustration is that they have to do it multiple times if the timing is not quite right.
Okay, so but if you go to page, or you're in your variance report, and you go to part 4, program activities, number 8.
The variance report is
The variance report. They have the variance report. No, these guys, the members.
No.
Yeah, try help her find it. Because you budgeted for number 8 is number of outreach and home buyer education programs. So you actually have something you budgeted. What is that? You budgeted for it. You have it budgeted, but you never spent, you hardly spent anything.
do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So you have 14 million for home buyer education programs.
Yeah.
But you only spent what, 213,000?
So Paula Ayla, Chair and committee members, part of my division has a financial literacy component that has been in place since 2015. What you're looking at is right when we hit the pandemic. So typically we have a full-blown financial literacy. We do homebuyer education face-to-face. During the pandemic, we continued with virtual. So we could continue to engage with our families. On Oahu, we had workshops that included everyone on the list, about almost 10,000. We went through a cycle of those families, also on Kauai and Hawaii Island, because the financial literacy workshops followed the projects that were in place at the time. The other component of
That's 2 years in a row,
I'm sorry,
2 fiscal years in a row. So when you look at the variance report,
right?
3 months ended September 22, and then 9 months ended June 30, 23.
Yeah,
And
so.
you hardly spend any of the 14 million.
Well, so there's two components to the program. One is homebuyer ed. The other side of the program, Hale program, is lease cancellation and foreclosure prevention. Prior to the pandemic, we were working both paths. But when the pandemic hit, we slowed down the program and we rejiggered where we needed to focus our attention. So homebuyer education went to the side and we focused on lease cancellation because our families were struggling to pay their mortgages. So that's
Why wouldn't you just outsource then?
I'm sorry?
Why wouldn't you just outsource so the program could continue?
We do outsource
But then you never
program.
spent anything.
We spent very little because we hit the pandemic.
Yeah, but if you're occupied and you still have to have this financial literacy component to continue,
Right.
why wouldn't you hire people to continue it instead of what Senator Favela's concern is? You totally stopped. You didn't spend it.
We were in the midst of readjusting the program. So yes, there was a slowdown in the activities and the funding, the budget.
No, the money was there. You just didn't spend it.
Right, because we slowed down the program during the pandemic.
Yeah. So why did you decide to slow it down versus doing both programs simultaneously?
Because the home buyer ed side, we had cycled through everyone and the home buyer market shifted. So I guess to respond to that, I understand what your concerns are. We are in the midst, the current contract that still exists for lease cancellation expires the end of this month. And I am working with our Hale program manager to reset this whole program to follow the 600 million and the lots that are coming online. So it's kind of funky space in the last few years because we didn't want to just stop the program. We just shifted to where the greater need was, which was keeping people in their homes by helping them with referrals to counseling services.
I get that, but
Yeah.
you're describing it as though you only have limited capacity. So you can only do one thing at once.
Well, in essence, we do, because I just have one person that manages.
But when
the
you have
program.
14 million, you can outsource.
14,
Okay,
yeah, 14,000.
Chair, Chair, the reason why I bring this up, and you kept talking about the coronavirus and all this stuff. What I like the department give us, the senators here. During that time that you said this thing was on pause and helping people stay in their homes, how much lease cancellations that you guys had brought before the commission and how much terminations of leases that you guys had provided in that time you saying you was keeping people on homes? Because, let me finish, because you're talking about the education of keeping people in homes, but then the constituents in that community calls about being in front of the commission, being threatened that they're gonna be kicked out of their home. So that was more than what Senator De La Cruz is saying. So I like see the numbers you guys had on how you guys would keep these people in the homes and how much lease terminations that you guys didn't enforce during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, you guys was enforcing lease closures and cancellations. And I want that documents to show that you guys was doing the other part, telling people that they're gonna be kicked out of their home, but then you wasn't doing the other part that you're saying that you was doing, but you stopped because of pandemic, and that's the reason why you couldn't spend the 14 million. So that's what I like see. Whether
No,
it is
it's
one
not
or
14,000. Look at
I
part
never
one, expenditures by thousands. So it's 14,000 by 1,000. That's 14 million.
Yeah, so that needs to be corrected. I never had 14 million.
This is your guys' document that you provided to
so-
us.
I'm gonna defer and also to Favela's question about lease cancellations.
No, well,
That's.
what other numbers
another-
in here are not accurate?
You guys don't review your stuff before you come before us to see if it's accurate?
Yeah, this variance report is 14,100 people.
No.
It's not dollars.
If you look at part one, it says expenditures by the thousands.
This is page 760.
It's variance report V61.
These.
Look.
Absolutely.
Oh, it doesn't have it.
Mr. Chair, while he's looking at that, can I ask a question
Yeah.
about the?
Oh,
pro-
well, Senator Kidani has one,
Okay.
then I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After we go through and get the right answers for all the questions we've been asked today, it comes down to basically what the beneficiaries are waiting for and have been waiting for decades. So what was the $600 million going to provide as far as units of homes?
Are you asking for a number of homes
Yes,
that we're planning to provide as of
Yes.
right now, Senator?
right.
The plan that the commission approved, which is the only authorized plan that we have right now, is for 2,700 lots.
2,700 lots. And
but-
how many beneficiaries are waiting on your list?
We have a wait list of more than 28,000, Senator.
Okay, so you're not even hitting 10% with the 600 million. What is the age of the oldest beneficiary on their list?
I don't know the age of the oldest beneficiary, Senator. But I did talk to give an idea, I did talk to one lady this morning who's a kupuna, who's been there since 1989.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that we're sitting here having discussion that $600 million was given last year. And you have people dying on the list, will never get their homes because we're sitting here doing this crap. And all of this should have been done before you guys got here. You guys have had a long time to work on this. And it's very irritating to sit here and not have the information that we need to get the homes to our kupuna. That's what's irritating. I don't know how you guys feel, but I am so pissed off.
Senator Kim.
Paula, I have a question. So your literacy program, for your homeowners, home buyer ed, you only give that to people that are awarded homes?
No, the workshops
Yeah.
is what you're asking about.
Yeah.
We send it out to, as I mentioned, on Oahu, to everyone on the Oahu Island list. And then on Hawaii Island and Kauai as well.
And how many people are on that list?
For Oahu, it's gonna be about 9,000. Yeah, on that.
So you
list.
cycled through all 9,000 of these
Yes.
people.
Yes. a
How
few
many
years-
of them actually went through the training or the program?
There was a few hundred that came through, but to Katie's comment, where our beneficiaries get frustrated is they cycle through the workshops several times. So, and then they go into one-on-one counseling with our professional services provider. So on Oahu, we got several hundred. On Hawaii Island, we
Yeah,
struggled.
but 700 out of thousands.
Yes.
I mean, so are you cycling them all through and what are you giving them basic literacy or only home buyer
We
financial
do
literacy?
a full day, 8 hours of workshop with our service provider. They go through credit, qualifying, things that lenders look for. It's a very thorough workshop. And then after that, we offer one-on-one counseling with our service provider and the
I
families.
guess what I'm trying to get at, is it only for home buying or do you give them general financial literacy?
Yes, that's included.
included in all of that.
Yes.
And who is your provider? Who is the
Currently,
contractor?
on the lease cancellation side, it's Helen Y.
Helen what?
Helen Y LLC, but we've had other service providers to work with our families, Hawai'i Homeownership, Hawai'i Community Assets, non-Akuli Housing. We engage with everyone that will assist us in financial literacy.
Okay, so do you go through your list and see who's not participating in these programs? Because wouldn't you want them to have to take these programs in order to qualify?
We do. The only audience from our list that we implemented a requirement was the undivided interest list lessees, because they have a paper lease. And we were able, as part of their undivided interest lease, we could require financial literacy. So that's the group that we wanted to get to first, primarily because they're holding a paper lease. Everyone else was optional, that they could come. Like I said, Oahu is always the biggest attendance. Hawaii Island, we tried several times to rejigger the program. We started in Kona, then we operated in Hilo, and the attendance was just very low. So we have to, at this juncture, I would recommend and ask if, which was already in the plan, to reframe the program now that we're out of the pandemic and deal now with what's in front of us versus the last 2 to 3 years, where we didn't stop the program, we paused it and shifted it to where the greatest need was. So that's an opportunity for us to revisit the program and put out RFPs for a financial.
Okay, I guess, why wouldn't you do that before? Because you had all
We
that
did.
period during the pandemic to rethink your programs and put it out then instead of now rethinking the program. And by the time you get it out, it takes another, I don't know how long to do that. But we're not looking ahead. We're not looking forward. You guys
Well,
seem like you're just reacting. I'll leave it at
Actually,
that.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, let me
Thank
just go
you.
back to the variance report. So if you look at program ID HHL 602, you were actually budgeted 38 million. You only spent 14 million. So you had additional monies to still do the home buyer education program.
What page is that?
If you look at the variance, the one we just passed out, V61, look at program ID 602. 602. It's I think the second page. So if you look at the program ID, the budgeted amount was 38 million. So they still had 14 million that they could have spent. So if you look at the number of outreach, they planned to do 14,000, but they only did 213 people. So what they planned to do and what they actually did was just a fraction.
Just to clarify further, the numbers are less than what we anticipated. We did continue with homebuyer ed through our virtual opportunities to continue to engage folks in homebuyer education.
So on the virtue, how much people participated?
It was minimal, Senator. I mean, we just wanted to keep the engagement going instead of
Yeah.
stopping altogether, but at the high end, I would say maybe 35, and that was statewide. And we had 2 vendors that were conducting virtual financial literacy services.
And then, so you can see here, members, if you look at program activity, part 4, the number of lots that they plan to develop and the ones and they actually only developed 92. Number of lots they re-awarded was 10, but they did 12.
Yeah, number of loans, only 24.
So you can see performances based on this variance report.
How do you only do 24 loans? That is.
Senator DeQuay.
So, I just wanted to go back, I noticed that you guys don't show anywhere in your spreadsheet on digitization of your wait list as well as your online billing. Is there anything out there on request for digitization of your system? And the only reason why I'm asking that is because the questions that have been posed by many of us, where you should be, or we should be easily able to pull up this information. Why is that?
We're upgrading our servers. But our long-term goal is to put our legacy information on the cloud. And that probably will be completed sometime this year. Before June.
So, Roddy, what kind of funding you guys looking at the digitization?
With
And will it come from the 600 million? Because that was part of the language that we incorporated in that 600 million. So how much of that will be used
I
so
don't
that
think
we
it's
can?
gonna cost more than $2 to $3 million. But what we're doing is we're digitizing some of our information, primarily on bookcase. That's the FHA 270 program, 174 program. But eventually we're on a legacy software right now. It's called Apex. It's a homemade program made from the 80s and migrated it to a modern software, but we want to go on something that's standard, that can be modified and the website usable, and that we're not there yet. And I think one thing we need to do is put our information on the government cloud, something that's secure. It gotta be
So, Mr. Chair, I think that should be a priority, because the problems we've been having is the transfers of leases. Once an individual or beneficiary sells it or pass it down, they're able to come back on the list. So as Senator Kidani said earlier, what's happening to these people that is still at the top of the list? We've put in several bills prior, was then told that the commission had agreed, and I'm still waiting for the minutes from the prior administration and the Attorney General's ruling saying that was unconstitutional, which I totally disagree with, because we're evading on list of the opportunity of any individuals who have at least one chance at that list. When I've had several individuals having 5, 6 chances, and they pass their leases down and they go back on the list. And it doesn't matter if they're at the bottom of the list, they bind their way back on another property. That's a big problem. The other thing, if we go back and we talk about you having the discussion with the commission, I noticed that you guys post your agendas 1 week prior to, and I see nothing on your Hawaiian Homes website as to that agenda being there.
I believe the due date is tomorrow, Senator, to post, and we will do that.
Okay, I
We
would
will
like
meet
to,
that deadline.
I would like to see what would be the decision, hopefully by that afternoon, on what the commission agrees to, if they will defer from the 540 million, and what is the plan going forward, because I cannot see why we're making a whole new plan after the commission agrees to a plan unanimously on the 600 million.
Yes, Senator, that's a fair question. And also, Senator, to address the concern you have about you and the members have about digitizing the list. I can't speak to what's occurred with prior administrations, but I can tell you that that is a priority for this administration if given the opportunity to serve. When I came into the office last week, during the first staff meeting we had, digitizing the list was discussed. And we believe, as Rodney mentioned, that we can do that within this calendar year, but it's a priority for this administration, Senator.
I'd like to see that in your breakout.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I plan to discuss that with the commission as well, Senator, so it's on the record.
Thank you.
I have a question. Last year when the 600 million was being discussed, one of the really thought-provoking things that was really out of the box was $100,000 cash awards going to people on the wait list. And my understanding is DHHL took a poll, and I think 52% of people on the wait list said they would opt for a cash award. And I thought that was a great idea, and I believe the commission even talked about that the monies could be used to purchase properties outside the trust. Which I thought was brilliant, because there's not enough land right now to make, homes for 30,000 people. And, so specifically in the bill, that we passed, it talked about mortgage assistance, down payment assistance, rent assistance.
Yes.
But I did have a brief talk with Lehua, and I understand that there might have been some legal problems with that, and because a lot of constituents still call me, they want to know how they can get the $100,000 cash award. So what's happening with that?
So as far as the question, Senator, about spending monies off of the HHL property, you're correct. I had that discussion with Lehua. We all did as a staff. I had that discussion with Lehua. And there are some potential legal concerns that we would like to get clarified from the Attorney General about spending monies off of the HHL properties that would not exist if we spent monies on the HHL properties.
Is that something that the legislature could address through legislation? Because I think it's I'd like to pursue that. I mean, and a lot of constituents want to pursue it as well.
Before I could say yes or no, Senator, I would have to talk with the State Attorney General. Again, we've had preliminary discussions as staff and with the deputy assigned to our department, but not with the State Attorney General for a position.
Okay, do you have an AG here that could explain what the problems are?
I don't have a deputy AG here, but my
But isn't that already
nominee
in
is
Act
proposed.
279? Because Section 2 says provide a mortgage or rental subsidy to the applicant on the waiting list.
yes, Mr. Chair, but we've been made aware that there are potential legal issues with providing monies off of the HHL property. We understand it's okay legally if we do it on the HHL land. So on the HHL land, we understand.
Well,
okay.
it says here on the waiting list for the applicant's principal resident in the state. It doesn't say,
Well, what's the legal issue? I mean, we gave you 600 million, that's not part of your trust fund, so. what's the
Yeah,
issue?
so it's the legal issue is that it's general funds, right? So constitutionally, it's general funds for a public purpose. And if we use it outside of the protections afforded the Hawaiian Homes Commission under the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act,
But
off of the
passive building,
homelands.
There's no public purpose thing.
No, no. It's absolutely a public purpose, but
Which
the
attorney
issue
general
is,
Gave you this.
it was workshopped, and I hesitate to have this discussion, but in open session, but basically we were very concerned about equal protection challenges. Should we use monies off the homelands to benefit Native Hawaiians?
yeah, but that discussion was all through last session and never was this brought up.
That was a concern that I am aware was raised to the commission, and so they focused on,
No, but it was never raised to any of the committees that passed the bill.
I can't, I apologize, I can't.
And Senator, this was brought to my attention this week. I am asking for a meeting with the Attorney General to clarify this. This was brought to my attention on Monday.
Okay,
So I plan to ask the Attorney General
So if you
for
do the
clarification.
cash awards, that could double the amount, instead of
Yes.
3,000, you could be doing 6,000.
I understand, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
And again, being that this legal concern was brought up, I just felt that as a department, we should have a conversation with the Attorney General and then at the appropriate time with the Hawaiian Homes Commission as well.
Sure.
But just with this concern being brought up, I felt as the new chair designate, I need to talk with the Attorney General directly.
Vice Chair has a question, then we'll go.
oh wait, Senator
Go
Murwaki.
ahead, Jerry.
Senator Murwaki.
The conversation.
Okay, so the thing that I like to know is, we're talking about the digitized, since I got here 4 years ago, we talked about it. And we're talking about it again. What actions, since I've been here, since this, even though you knew, what action did they take prior to you coming to start the process in digitizing the list? That's one. Senator DeQuaid talked about the waitlisters, and we know this very much in my community where my family lives on how the haves and the have-nots will never have. Why? Because you guys circumventing the list. Use that word because it's very clearly, guys who have money, gonna buy the house from somebody on the, in the homestead, turn around, flip them, sell them, go back on the list. And they're not doing it one time. and I know it's from Nanakuli. One guy did it 5 times. And Homestead, directors, whoever was involved, they all know. Took no action. So this has been going on for a long time. That's why it was never a priority for digitize that list. Because that's one of the main reasons. The next one is, if the Attorney General or whoever made this decision, I don't know the date and time. Because it says my colleague said, I never agree with paying any of the Hawaiians on the list, any money. Because that's not fair to my family members who died on the list. Are their families gonna get 100,000? 20 years later after my grandmother died? Or my auntie? No. So we should not be buying our Hawaiians off the list. Because what they're gonna do with that 100,000? What if they already own a house? So I wasn't agreeing on that, but now you guys saying it's illegal. But then when you guys found out that you were gonna tell us that it was illegal? You see, that's the kind of stuff that we need to know. And then you guys like talk about bringing back trust to the department. But within what you said, Director, yeah, you have a lot of people behind you and in the department that nobody trusts. You guys keep recycling them, keeping them around. Yeah. Like a bad OP stuck to something that's not good. Gotta get rid of them. Because our kupuna is dying. You're talking about rentals, but now the kupuna can give a loan, can get credit. How are they gonna qualify for that rental? They're dying on the list and they continue to die on the list. And this is not a priority for nobody in that department for a long time. The kupunas need to be prioritized. First and foremost, they should digitize that. See how we can get the rent assistance that Paula talk about educating them. Because I'm getting texts on my phone. Not all the beneficiaries get that information, but they would love to do it. So I like know, going back, how much of that card you guys sent out said, hey, you guys want some education, go to this site and sign up. I like know how much of you guys sent out that card to all the beneficiaries island-wide to get this kind of home assistance to learn how to make sure you can buy a home and whatnot. I like see where that at. I like see how much went out. And that's what I need to know, because right now this is not happening. You guys keep recycling the people within the department that you're in, and I gotta stop.
Okay,
Seriously. Thank you,
so
Chair.
in regards to the digitization, where is that and how can you make sure that happens with the current budget?
I think after we upgrade our cloud system, probably in 2024 we can begin the project with the
Okay, what's preventing the cloud update?
We've been participating in sharing servers at Kalima. So we're getting off those servers and we're going to go on the government cloud. Right now we're sharing our server with the AT office.
Okay, I think what the committee would appreciate is a more precise timeline. So if you know what actions have to be taken, if we have a timeline of when they're going to be taken so that we can actually see an end date of when it's going to be digitized, at least by sections.
Can you expand on that?
Because it sounds like you have general thoughts, but there really is no.
We've been working with the AG office. We're gonna continue on that server, but we're on our way to going on a cloud, and then based on that, we can start working on digitization of the waitlist and all that stuff.
Okay, if you can give us a timeline.
Yeah.
Can't you work on it before that cloud so that when you get the cloud, you just write on, and you don't have that lag time?
Yes.
So why
We're
don't
working
you?
on it right now.
So why would
It's much more complex than it is. This system is going to be tied into the not only to the waitlist, but also to the land inventory.
understand, but my point is,
TMKs and all that.
yes, but my point is, don't wait till the cloud gets fixed. Start working on it, so when the cloud is updated or whatever needs to be done, then you're ready to go instead of taking another year to then put it on the
Yeah,
cloud.
you don't have, you can do it simultaneously.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Are,
but
are you
don't.
doing this by yourself or you get help in your
We
department?
have only one IT person, that's a programmer, the other person does repairs of IT.
Yeah, but you have money to,
Yeah, you
to
guys should like
contract.
that. So, because,
Exactly.
I mean, we've been
Yes.
asking this for a long time, and this is why when we ask, I'm gonna tell you right now, I still get bills from you guys and not even for me, or I get newsletters that come to me in envelopes. I write in on the thing and I said, you guys sending them to the wrong place. So I can only imagine where everybody's bills go. And it's not as if we run to the post office to open you guys' envelope anyway, but it's really important because if we were paying our bills online, I would love to see those revenues. In fact, I would like to see the deficiency on how many bills have not been paid. Because I'm gonna tell you now, you guys still mailing my bill to the wrong place. And then you guys mail our bills 2 days at the end of the month. So everything is so backed up. So I don't know why you guys no more requests of positions in your division is where you guys really need them. You know, instead of phone call centers that we forwarding calls to people that are not gonna answer our phone anyway. I mean, I'm not blaming you, but you know, that's something that you really have to look at is that you guys get on call center that forwards our calls on to people no answer. You know, that's a huge problem that you guys need to address.
Agree, Senator. And we are looking at the positions that we have. And I've been in staff discussions for the last week, looking at where we need to reprioritize. One of the areas that we are looking to prioritize is beneficiary services. Because those calls now come directly to my office and we take them as best we can. But you're right, Senator, that's not acceptable. And we're looking to fix it.
So what do you know about the island-wide beneficiary and state consultation?
I'm sorry, Senator?
The island-wide and state-wide beneficiary regional consultation plan. Do you know anything about that?
I'm short on the provisions of the plan that you're talking about, yes.
So I
I'm
hope
short
your
on that.
staff brings you up to par, because if you take a look at those island-wide plans, it's the priorities of every MOCU out there. And I don't know why those priorities on there, which the bulk of it was housing, as well as the statewide regional plan, has not been looked at to blow the 600 million.
So the regional plans, we are in the process of looking at, Senator, and it's the regional plans that we are basing the restart of our quarterly meetings on, so that when we go and have these quarterly meetings and we start them, we will be using the provisional plans as our baseline when we have these meetings. We've already started our meetings. We have a lot of work to do, but we need to have these meetings in person, and we're getting back to that,
So
Senator.
what I'm saying is grab the priorities that have been there for many, many, many years since Michael Connor's time and execute those, because it's been the same over and over.
Thank you for that point, Senator.
Senator
We're looking at that.
Yeah, hi, Chair. I don't see, and I'm not sure if I'm missing it, what you've done with the federal funds that have come in for broadband. There are millions that came in. And I want to know where it is, the status, and how it's being spent, if any.
So yes, we had a first award. But as to the specifics of how it is being deployed, I actually don't know the answer to that question. I do know that you know, it comes with a specific purpose, right? To make sure that our beneficiaries have better access to broadband.
So if you
I
don't
am
know, can you
aware-
can you
Sure,
provide us in detail in writing how it's being spent?
yes, we
Thank
can.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Yohokonole.
I forgot already.
Okay, you know, in the I had my staff call the Attorney General's office, and they don't have anything in writing or request asking about if the mortgage assistance was illegal.
I haven't submitted anything in writing, Chair. This was brought to my
Because we
attention.
actually worked with the Attorney General's office to draft the bill.
It's not that it's illegal. We could do it. The issue is exposure and risk, and what level of acceptable risk there may be. When it came to discussions, I think there was a bit of uneasiness looking at what was happening with some cases on the mainland with regards to the Supreme Court, you know, kind of rolling back and kind of replacing the narrative for our Indian country brother and sisters. So I believe that the department would like to figure out a way to do it. We just haven't figured out how to safely without putting the trust at jeopardy.
Okay, what you gotta worry about is our people here. We're not the mainland. We're not Indians, nothing. Put the trust in the people that wrote the bill with the Attorney General. Don't be second guessing us and thinking about what would happen inside native country in the mainland. It's here. Okay, like I said, I wasn't for that. But the bottom line is people was waiting for it, anticipating to have it, to do what you guys said or what this party said that it was gonna do. Don't worry about what's happening in the mainland. That's the problem with us. Worry about what's in the mainland. What's worry about over here. So we award them, and there's a challenge, and we're gonna tell them why. Because we don't like give money to Hawaiians. That's the only challenge on here. That money is theirs. Give them to them. The land is theirs. Give it to them. But what the only challenge gonna be? When non-Hawaiians saying, "Oh, wow." But what is the protocol? What you guys is really worrying about? Not what's happening in India or the mainland with the Indians. What's happening here? What was the main concern here on this island on not giving them that money to get off the list? That's what I know. What's happening here? Well, tell me what's in the mainland. What's happening here that you think that you guys was anticipating one challenge to giving Hawaiians their money? What you was anticipating?
Legislation specifically talks about perhaps having a subsidy to beneficiaries. Is that included in the strategic plan to implement the 600 million that was submitted to the legislature?
I do believe it is, but I believe
So you submitted that even though there were
no.
misinformations about whether or not there's an equal protection problem?
Well, the plan, I believe, was that we would still use or have a component for using it, but it would be on Hawaiian homelands. So down payment assistance to help people purchase on contemplation that we would have homes on Hawaiian homelands. So helping mortgage assistance there, I believe, just as a first year, more safer conservative approach is my understanding
All
of.
right, so why are we talking about this if you found a way to work around the issue?
Because we were asked why not off the homelands.
Okay, so when are you gonna do the mortgage assistance on Hawaiian homelands?
That, my understanding is that the strategic plan incorporates a certain percentage of the funds for what's
So
called.
if that's the case,
On the 172 million bill
I,
in the allocation, is that there?
That's the 60. That's the balance of the 540 million, the 60 million would be loan products. Yeah, part of the commission plan.
But Chair, but there's no inventory. So if you guys are gonna give somebody 100,000 to purchase or whatever you just said, mortgage for Hawaiian homes, what is the inventory? The reason for why this body and it was suggested to do it off was because the inventory is bigger to get them off the list. So now you're gonna tell them, we're gonna give you 100,000, you're still on the list, no inventory. So how is that gonna help the people get off the list? That was a process to get off the list for them to go ahead and do what they was gonna do outside of Hawaiian homes. And that was the good idea that a chair was talking about. So now you're gonna tell them, we're gonna give you 100,000, but you gotta make the loan on top of the list. There's no inventory. That's the problem we're having now. That's why we have the list. There's no inventory. The reason for the creation of what we're talking about here was because outside, there's more inventory and more chances of getting one condo, a studio, whatever, and more inventory. That's the problem we have right now. We don't have inventory. So how are we gonna go backwards? So to stuck to the plan and then see what happens. That's how it should be. But every time we change in the plan, who suffers? The Hawaiians. Every time we change the plan. Thank you, Chair.
And
See,
Mr. Chair, again, I do plan to ask the Attorney General for guidance. This was brought to my attention on Monday, but I'm going to talk to the Attorney General about this and ask the question. Being that it was raised, I just want to get clarity. from the Attorney General directly, and we plan to do that.
Okay, so based on your testimony, what are some of the strategic actions your administration is going to take that's different from the previous administration to address the backlog?
Chair, the discussions that our staff has had is to look at rental housing opportunities. Again, there are so many of our beneficiaries who, for whatever reason, cannot qualify for a mortgage. So that is what staff is discussing. I would like to have that discussion with the Hawaiian Homes Commission to see if that's something that the Hawaiian Homes Commission will support us on. So I believe that will help us to address more of the wait list, because no need down payment with a rental, so we eliminate that. That's an opportunity that we're looking at.
So if someone goes into a rental, does that take them off the list?
No, we're not. As of right now, the policy is not to take somebody off the list when they go into a rental. As of right now,
Okay.
that's not the policy. But particularly for kupuna who are more advanced in age, who may also have difficulty in being able to qualify for a mortgage, rental opportunities would at least provide them to get into housing. But as of right now, that kupuna would still be able to hold their place on the list. We envision with the rental kupuna housing something similar to what Waimanalo has had for the last 20 years. It's been successful. But my understanding is that that model hasn't been duplicated on large scale.
So which monies would you be able to divert so you can accomplish that?
If we were to do that, I would have to talk to I will talk to the commission about utilizing the $600 million if that's something we can do. But I haven't had the opportunity to have that discussion with the commission yet because we haven't met. So I've only had that discussion with staff. Because I can't talk, as we know, I can't talk to more than one commissioner.
So only the rental. Don't.
We're looking at the rentals. We're looking at multiple rental opportunities, similar to the Bolodrome property. That's another model that we'd like to look at. The Bolodrome property is
But that's going up already.
right, but we'd like to look at similar opportunities to that. The Bolodrome property is 270 some odd units. So again, if we can look to do projects similar to that, utilizing our planning, utilizing our land use background, and bringing in the people that we need with the $600 million, we believe we can duplicate that type of a project.
Okay, well, what I
So it's rentals.
Okay, but I'm just asking what's going to be different. So now you're using an example that they've already done.
We've done one, as far as I know, is the Bolodrome. I think we need to do more, Senator. We need to definitely do more, Mr. Chairman. So what we're going to do differently that hasn't been done in the past is more rentals on a large scale, and also looking at more rentals on the neighbor islands. As I've traveled the neighbor islands, particularly on Hawai'i Island, in Panaeva and Keaukaha, we've had people ask for rentals, telling us, brother, you guys have lands here on Hawai'i Island. What about rentals for us in addition to what you guys are doing at the Bolodrome? So while we are doing, the department's currently doing rentals, it's just not enough.
Okay, so you're going to divert some of the 600 million to go to those projects.
I will propose to the commission, I'll talk to the commission.
So is that going to
about
be on the
providing,
agenda for the commission meeting next week?
I'm sorry?
Is that going to be on the agenda for the commission
Talking
meeting?
about rentals will be on the agenda next week. A general discussion, yes.
Okay, but if you're reformulating the plan of the 600 million, wouldn't it be at the same time?
Well, it's a general discussion at this point, Mr. Chairman, because again, I haven't been able to talk to the commissioners.
Senator
I
Keokalolo.
can talk to one, that's it.
It sounds like you might need some time to suss all of this out.
I certainly need to have a conversation with the commission, Senator. That's right.
In addition to that, it sounds like you might need more time to come up with concrete alternatives to the plan submitted. And the reason I bring that up is that the Senate position in the SD1 of House Bill 2511 last year articulated the policy that is in place in the commission's strategic plan that they've submitted, which is money appropriated to shovels in the ground ready projects that can be delivered upon as quickly as possible. It did not contemplate leveraging the money to try and build an undetermined number of greater proportion units out into the future. It contemplated projects that are shovel ready, that can be delivered upon within the lapse timeline, which is 2 years. Given the restrictions that you have just articulated in dealing with the commission and the requirements that you make sure that any departure from the commission's plan needs to be approved by them, it sounds like you need some more time to figure this out. Do you agree?
Are you asking if we're going to ask for an extension, Senator?
Well, you've already asked for an extension in your testimony because your submittal includes a request for legislation to extend the lapse out for 1 additional year. And this conversation leads me to believe that that sounds reasonable. Because I agree with you. I think we should do a ton of rentals. 20 years ago, and you know this very well because you represented Waimanalo, the beneficiaries howled when the department proposed kupuna rentals. They were very angry, right? That money and that land should have been used for lot development. And instead the project was for kupuna rentals, which now have a substantial wait list, right? And so, it sounds like you might need additional beneficiary consultation, but at a minimum, it sounds like you're going to need additional commission discussion with the governor. Apparently, if he has some ideas that he would like to propose to reallocate some of this money, perhaps in contravention of the Senate's position on Act 279, as articulated in the bill process last year.
Our administration's desire, Chair, is identical to the desire of all of you to provide additional housing. We see an opportunity to potentially do that with rental opportunities if the commission will agree with us to do that. That's a discussion I plan to have. I just haven't been able to have that yet because I can't talk to more than one commissioner as of right now. So I can't tell you if the commission will approve that today.
Well, obviously, some of the questions that we've been asking today, you really can't answer them. So it might be more useful for you to come back.
And it's not really fair because the MOE, I understand, was not contemplated when we closed on Act 279 last year, not contemplated in the way that it was ultimately executed by Budget and Finance over the interim, right? Restricting the amount of money that was released. And my understanding is that the legal situation has changed since we passed the legislation as well.
The legal concern was just brought to my attention and I need to ask the attorney.
So again, and then I'm done. Sounds like you need more time. Thank you.
Okay, page 2. You look at DHHL lands by land use designation statewide. What are the areas of the DHHL portfolio that can be leveraged to increase revenue?
Senator, can you repeat the question, please?
What are the areas of the DHHL portfolio that can be leveraged to increase revenue? You have the shopping center as one example. What other things can DHHL do so that they can increase revenue?
Well, the department, yes, we do have a portfolio of commercial properties. Yes, we certainly do. Such as the Kamakana Ali'i property and the Walmart property and other commercial properties. We certainly have those.
Yeah. So if you can provide a list of specific potential projects that increase revenue.
We can do that.
Chair, while you're talking about commercial venture, can I interrupt and ask, in my district in Hilo, the Hilo Mall's stall in the lease extension? Is that part of, because that's a revenue generated income? And they've been spending millions and millions of dollars in rentals over the years that provide opportunities for our Hawaiian people in the district, because it's right next door to our homesteads. So we have many of them employed there, and the income that's been generating hopefully will continue. Have you guys decided what you're gonna do with that particular lease?
The communication that have been shared with us to date, Senator Inouye, in regards to the principal Hilo Mall in particular, between the prior state administration, Attorney General, as well as the U.S. Department of Interior, state that the U.S. Department of Interior is of the position that in order for commercial leases to be extended, now including DHHL properties, requires congressional action. And it has been shared with me that until this administration clears up that understanding with the U.S. Department of Interior, that we would be advised legally not to extend any leases until that's resolved. That's according to the written communication I've seen between the prior Attorney General and the U.S. Department of Interior.
What is the the opportunity for you and this new administration? Are you going to communicate with
Yes.
the Interior as well?
Yes,
And to also understand that the east side of the Big Island does not have any particular large industries that we survive. And our kupuna and everyone who lives there, we survive by small businesses.
yes.
So hopefully that there's going to be good process, the opportunity to continue the lease extensions.
Well, when does the lease end?
It ends in it's coming up at the
I believe
end of
it's,
the decade.
I believe it's 29, 42, 15
And-
years.
And the opportunity, what's happening is because of the deterioration of the project, that the leaseholder is willing to do the $30 million improvements for that region. And that's why they're concerned about it, because of the financing application process with their financial financier.
Yes,
Because they're
Senator.
ready to go and we need the improvements. Thank you.
And we will continue working with the USDOI, Senator. We will also continue, we will update you as these meetings occur.
Okay.
We will keep
Can
you in the
make
loop.
sure that some communications, because it seems like
Yes,
we're only having communications from opposition.
we will keep you in the loop on our communication,
Okay.
Senator. Yes, we will do that.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Senator Moriwaki, Vice Chair.
Just clarification, Act 279 was to get the 28,000 reduced. And so, getting them off the list means getting them housing. So I want to just get clarification. If you are focusing on rentals and you're taking them off, you're not taking them off the list, then it sort of defeats the purpose of 279. So I wondered if you could get clarification on what the focus on rentals and getting them into rentals will be on the number, reducing our number on the list.
Yes, Senator Moriwaki, we can. And it's not that we're going to forego any additional focus on fee simple. Fee simple meaning just owning the house, but not the land. We are certainly going to do that in addition.
So getting them off the list is they have to have fee simple, they have to be in home ownership, or is it to house them? I guess I'm looking at, we need to have shelter for all our owner as well as the other beneficiaries on the list. So clarification on what that means if you're going to focus in on developing more rentals. And you're
Yes.
using Act 279 to do it.
Yes, Senator. It's a very fair point. Thank you.
Oh, it does say accordingly, the purpose of this act is to provide a multi-pronged approach to eliminating its wait list. So that's clear. People may not like it, but that's what's in the language. Essentially.
Thanks. Thanks. I want to shift gears just a little bit. Earlier in your testimony, you'd mentioned partnerships with DOT and other departments on various infrastructure rollout. Right now, this past year, IIJA and a bunch of the other federal pots of money that are now available, which previously weren't when I think a lot of this discussion originated. Are you guys looking right now at drawing down some of those potential grant opportunities where it seems like some of that funding could potentially pay for some of the infrastructure costs for development of new areas and things like that? And what does that look like?
Repeat that question.
Essentially, do you guys have a partnership working with the DOT to take advantage of some of the federal money that's now been available and will be available for the next 4 years or so?
We haven't had any discussions with DOT on our side. They may have talked to the development side, but they haven't had any discussions with us.
So Senator, I'm not aware of any discussions that the prior administration may have had. This was an area that I identified over the last week that would be a positive improvement in the right direction with the department, is better coordination with the Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation comes to mind, again, because when we were in Panayeva recently, talking with Panayeva and Keaukaha homesteaders, it was discussed about a potential bypass road that would have been on DHHL property. And some of the beneficiaries were very concerned about that. They didn't feel that any of the departments had apprised them of exactly what was going to happen. So we would like to have better coordination. And we see that as an
But I think
opportunity
he's
with
talking
this
about drawing
administration.
down
to do
some of the
that.
federal funds.
Yeah.
And working to draw down some of the federal funds as well through these partnerships, Senator.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of those pots are specifically targeted toward
Not development.
indigenous and other communities in these kinds of projects. So maybe if we could follow up, Chair, and
We can.
take a look at just the laundry list of all the different grant opportunities and other things.
We can follow up on the grant opportunities that are there with the other departments. Yes, we
Thank
can.
you. Thank you, Chair.
Can I add? Sorry.
Oh.
Whenever issues come up, because this also was my former district in Kauai, actually it's in Waimea. When we developed, and thanks to DHHL for creating the subdivision going down Kauai Road closer to Waimea, and talking about DOT, DOT is the one that the stub out going out on the highway is still stubbed out. So DOT has not allowed the subdivision people, the homes are beautiful and it's a great subdivision. But just to add, can you talk to them? Because if there's going to be a stall from DOT, then there's not a partnership that you can establish. But please, they have to cooperate because we're there providing these house lots for our people. And yet they're putting a stall and getting them out to make sure they can get to work on time. But now in that subdivision, they have to go all the way up to another road and get out on the highway. So just my input, even if I love DOT and I'm vice chair, but we got to get them moving because if they're going to be a partnership.
This partnership is,
Exactly.
yes, it's a priority for us. And
Senator Favela.
Yeah, just getting back to the lease and lease extensions. Practicing best for our beneficiary and our people. When these lease extensions, and the reason for that was great that at that time, William Ayla forgot to put in the provision to have these lease extensions extended. The deadline was in December and Interior stepped in, which is great because we gotta practice better leasing. We lease out land, dirt cheap, everybody making money. I'm not saying for shut down the mall, take away people's jobs, but best practice going forward. I envision rental units, just like Ala Moana. Why we cannot do that there? Why can't we reap the money and the profits? Why are we always getting somebody else doing it? So the lease extension, guarantee, I'm for canceling it. 14 years from now, we should be envisioning building more homes around the mall to also help out with the mall. Building houses, just like they did Ala Moana, but not $1 million kind, just enough for our Hawaiian people have rentals, condos to live in, because it can. Before they had the proposal, couldn't, because at that time was swamp. When they built that that shopping mall, it took away that provision, the drainage, all that problems. Now it is qualified for homes. So in the next, whatever years you have here, vision to provide that for our people and generating what we're all talking about here is money. We let everybody else take the money from us, Hawaiians, make a profit, make a living, and then give us peanuts. No, we should prioritize them. People who is Hawaiian or Hawaiian on the list should have a discount rating lease over there. They don't have that kind of provisions. Oh, because they help with Mary Monarch. Who cares? That's once a year. How much revenue that mall make? I went to that mall. It's not too long ago. That mall is thriving. The guys over there renting is thriving, making a lot of money. So who's making the money? The Hawaiians? No, the people that's leasing the property. Those things was never meant for them to own it. Keep continuing their leases. So I am for canceling that lease and giving an opportunity for Hawaiians to make money and build homes for Hawaiians over there. So that's what I'm saying. Look into those things as an option, not just try to go talk to the Department of Interior to extend somebody else's lease. That's not fair to the Hawaiian people. Thank you, Chair.
Just to add, I'm sorry, but that's my district. And another thing too, the mall was built around the existing Hawaiian homestead. So there are homes around there, and that's why you would not believe. I was on the commission in 1970 when DHHL begged us on the commission to approve the mall. We went against the mayor to challenge that the downtown Hilo is going to die if we build a mall. But at that time, the sugar plantations were closing. We had nothing. And everyone came out. DHHL, all those kupunas down there, and some of them has passed on, who I know personally, came to lobby us to generate monies so that they can increase all of their properties around for more homes. And that's why the mall was built. And I thank the good Lord that we can continue to do that as well. But there's a good portion of what the previous speaker did say, increase the additional to the commercial property, which I'm sure that's the plan. But to actually kill a mall, you're taking away all the monies that has been going on to you folks so that you can continue the good work to talk about creating the more housing and properties and the rentals for our people. So what is Hilo going to do? You're going to kill them all? You tell me if there's a billionaire of Hawaiian ancestry that's going to take over the mall. I mean, there's nobody there. But anyway, I'm talking about survival. I'm talking about DHHL increasing their revenues to continue to do that as well.
Senator
That's
Inouye,
why-
I'm certainly not
Yes.
looking to kill them all or to cancel the lease in the pending discussions with the Department of the Interior. What I am looking to do is to work to convince the department to at least give the authority to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands as to
Exactly.
whether we extend or whether we don't. And as a senator for that district, Senator Inouye, I imagine that you'll be very involved in those discussions with us because your constituents are going to be coming to you.
Exactly. And
We're going to need to work with you on this.
Generations of my people in that district come and go,
Aye.
even employing them in the hotels that I manage. But another thing in our discussion too, when we talked about, Ms. Ayla talked about the attendance of, the programs you have been doing, going to the west side and east side. It comes to mind why some of them don't show up. There's a problem with the successorship because there's many people, and in my district, the kupunas they're getting old and they don't have enough of their beneficiaries. Many of them already have probably not their children, but they have the grandchildren, and they're not even sure that they can take over Tutu's homes. And so a lot of them haven't been showing up. So I think there's an education system we have to create also to make sure that the successorship process,
You have a question?
is addressed as well.
Is there a question?
Thank you.
My question is,
No, excuse me. I still have questions.
it's a
Thank
question,
you.
again, question,
No.
plenty of questions.
Does DHHL provide any kind of co-op for farming equipment, tools, supplies, and business development services for the ag homestead programs?
I'm not aware of whether we do or whether we don't at this point in time, Senator.
Are you planning to?
If that's something that we're legally allowed to do, that's a discussion that we as staff will have, but
Well, what are
I
the
can't tell you
programs-
today if
What are
we
the
do that or whether.
What
we
are the
don't.
programs you currently have for agriculture homestead lots?
I'm sorry?
What are the programs you currently have?
Okay. We'll bring up Andrew from our planning.
Aloha Chair, Andrew Choi with the department's planning office. We currently have a limited program for our agriculture lessees. The focus of the department, because of priorities, have been focused on housing and residential development. Two of the existing programs that we have that are financed by trust funds that are generated from revenue off of Hawaiian homelands, are with the UH Department of College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources. We provide technical assistance to agricultural lessees in Hilo and all of Hawaii Island with one extension agent. We also have the same partnership with UHCTAR on the island of Molokai. And this year, we're looking to expand that partnership to the island of Maui.
Okay, but technical.
So the technical assistance includes scheduling appointments with our lessees who might have difficulties with productively producing agriculture on their lots. So the UHCTAR extension agent will meet one-on-one with them and
No,
help
but they do that with everybody though.
This particular extension agent is specifically assigned to help the HHL lessees.
But even if they weren't, if they were a farmer, CTAR would still help, the extension would still help. So what I'm trying to get at are what are you doing above and beyond something that people would just be able to access regularly anyway?
The department and the commission are looking at expanding educational opportunities for our
Okay,
beneficiaries.
do you have an inventory of what kind of crops you guys have on your?
No, our resources have been focused primarily on housing, and our agriculture program is actually split between two staff, and both of them are part-time on our agriculture program. So we don't have.
So you don't know what people are growing?
No, we do not.
Because how can you help if you don't know what they're growing? I mean, you could have, if everyone's growing ulu, then you could come up, we could purchase all kinds of processing equipment for ulu that would help the farmers scale up, create revenue. But it doesn't sound like there's any capacity building for the ag lots.
As I mentioned previously, yes, there is limited capacity within the department currently because there has been more of a focus on the residential component of the program. We are looking to try to expand our capacity, but it will require additional resources, including staff and including.
Okay, so which program ID are you in?
Which program ID?
Yeah, when you look at the budget. What's your program ID?
The program ID is the homestead lot development.
And number what? HHL
602.
Okay, because you guys lapse a lot of money. So you lapse so much money, but you keep telling us you don't have resources.
Those items that are lapsed aren't programmed for agriculture. So.
But you can still move money around within the program. It's just not, it doesn't seem to be a priority. You can't use that excuse when you have lots of money and resources to try to address these concerns. Any other questions? No.
Is capacity for this type of programming accounted for in the sufficient sums budget?
It is
okay.
In purpose 3 rehabilitation.
But specific bodies,
specific positions, we are currently recruiting for an ag program specialist. So that position would work full-time on agriculture initiatives of the department. Currently, we don't have one.
Oh, so you have existing budgeted money. So we are talking about recruitment capacity and whether these are vacancies.
Correct. So we are in recruitment for one full-time ag program specialist.
Yeah, but when you're doing a one-time inventory, you don't need to hire a full-time person to add to your budget. Why not just contract that out? One-time expenses, contract out. The departments keep asking for one-time expenses. They want to keep adding to their base budget.
We're not, the position,
But when I'm asking about an ag inventory of what crops, one-time task.
yeah, the position wouldn't just be for that one-time task. It would help to coordinate the department's program to provide more additional resources and capacity.
Yeah, I get that, but you wouldn't know what those resources would be until you do the inventory of what people are growing.
I totally agree with you that we should do an inventory.
And your partnership with CTAR doesn't even, if they're going already out to meet with all the farmers, why aren't you asking CTAR to do the inventory for you if they're dedicated to DHHL?
That's a good idea. We should.
Senator DeCoit.
Thank you. So you guys had a position there that Bob phrased, I believe, was back then. I mean, even then, you guys had no inclination of doing anything. Do you know that Hilo's early vision was to return people back to their land to rehabilitation? I know Hula Pula. And we've had this conversation in the island-wide and regional plans. I can tell you what is on your lands without even hiring one CTAR agent. And till today, we have still yet asked you folks to address agriculture so that we can truly be sustainable. And yet it just blows me away that you folks can't even make that phone call to CTAR. You folks have outsourced and tried to work through CTAR, but the CTAR agents are going to other islands that actually just live on Molokai. So my question is, how many parcels of agricultural land do you have doing sustainable agriculture or designated as agriculture on the 2-acre lots up to your 40, 50, whatever else lots you folks have? And then what do you guys plan to do to put more funds so that Hawaii can start to grow the crops that they need to grow to become self-sufficient? And that's a question, Chair.
Chair, we can reach out to the partners that we have in the other agencies. We will talk with CTAR again. That's part of what we do want to do is build these bridges.
Okay, what partnership do you have with DOA?
So, again, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, Department of Land and Natural Resources, these are discussions that we've had as a staff in bridging these departments together. That's part of our 4-point plan that we're going to work on, Mr. Chairman, so that we can address issues like this. Senator DeCoit, we will check into that and provide you an answer.
Yeah, and then, so I would think that you folks would make that call to CTAR. They should have one breakdown of all ag production happening on, in fact, all your islands, whether it be crop or pastoral and ranches. And I think that would be really helpful for us.
So how do you ensure that ag activity is occurring on the ag lots?
We do have to rely on our district offices to go out and look at our ag lots to ensure lease compliance. Ag activity on our lots is a lease requirement, but
Do you get a report from the different managers?
It's not a current report that we currently receive.
Okay, when was the last time you got a report?
I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but we can get back to you.
So I can tell you right now, I know maybe one manager on Molokai, your staff is going out and making up their own rules on what to do. As you guys know, we have been inundated with deer. Now they've been questioned as on farmer. How come they putting up one fence without authorization when the lease is in that beneficiary name? They've been questioned why do they have to put that fence up? I mean, you got to be brain dead if you don't realize you're going to access their problem on Molokai that eating all their crops. but it's because we don't have a good outreach. And today, we still number one manager that could have been a permanent manager, except was going for an 89-day hire. Even though Juan comes into Molokai, he comes in, after he goes, it's a shit show at the office. We can barely get one clear answer. We get roads washing down that you guys still never finish paving because somebody protested that road. And that road is actually my road ending up on the main highway that they're ready for nail you guys, the owner down at the bottom of my road. So all of that stuff is just left in limbo. And yet, this is what the office on Molokai is having to go through because they're still not a manager today.
And that's a fair point, Senator Decoy. And that's something else that we do plan to address as we have our quarterly discussions and talking with the communities directly by our regional plans. We've started on Hawai'i Island. We've had some phone discussions with some folks on the other islands, but we haven't gotten to the other neighborhoods.
So you know what's crazy? We had several applicants that was local, except you guys choose an applicant from the mainland. I'm not saying, be discriminative. Very well qualified, those that were there. But then when you guys go to hire that person from the mainland, right at the hiring process, he's like, I don't think this job for me. So we start the process all over again. How are you guys going to address that? Because this is really critical because nobody knows who to take direction from. And if one comes in once a month or once every other week, that's not good enough. In probably the most heavily per capita Native Hawaiian community that had the first homestead on Molokai, which was Kalima. So, you better believe there's a lot of frustration, not to mention the bulk of that area is ag. So the two most important things have been totally neglected on that island. And I'm not just taking favoritism because I'm there, but this is the reality of every place that we're dealing with on the neighbor islands. And we're having to fly one manager from Maui to address Molokai and Lanai. So I think with the budget that you folks have asked for, why haven't you guys gotten to the bottom of this?
And as part of our plan, Senator, we're planning to restart those discussions so that we are going out as an administration directly to the neighbor islands so we can have the direct discussions, see what's needed and meet the needs.
I can tell you what's needed. I don't think you guys even need that discussion. We're just beating a dead dog right now.
Okay.
Senator Richards?
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna springboard on something that Senator Decoy was talking about, getting inventory of what we've got out there. I know one of the big inventories we need is that infrastructure. And we have a lot of areas, we need choke water to get that. We're not gonna get people on the land to get the water and the water infrastructure. Senator Decoy mentioned about the roads. I'm pretty sure what Senator Dela Cruz was talking about was what else can Hawaiian Homes offer? And I think we're talking about assets like tractors, things like that to help out to get some things done, get some of the equipment out there's pretty sad. During the Pu'ukapu fire we had, 18 months ago now. County and DHHL have a relationship where we were able to get things taken care of because DHHL's equipment wasn't working. So we're able to get the trucks out there and get it graded so we can get the water trucks out there to fight fire. Again, that inventory of what's going on out there to get going forward. My district, which is North Hawaii, we have two big Hawaiian Homes area and infrastructure is, and we talk about housing, I can appreciate what's been said about there, but it's supposed to be agriculture and we got to focus in on the agricultural infrastructure. I know Department of Transportation is very interested in helping Kokua and get us the infrastructure on the ports. And the ports are on Hawaiian homelands. I get that. But we have to have that inventory so we know how to go forward. And I'm keenly interested, as Senator Decoy talked about, the management side. We cannot sit by. There's a lot of people, I grew up with these guys. They want to get out there and get stuff done. So I'm asking, please, that inventory of what we got out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Keith Agran.
Yeah, can we go back and talk about your budget? On table 7, and the last administration was talking about having a $2 billion surplus. So I'm kind of curious about why you show restriction. Are you going to be requesting return of the restricted money or not? You can just talk about FY 23, since that shows $1 million restriction.
Just, I'll make a quick announcement to the members. Because it looks like we're gonna be running into the next info briefing, the committee will pick up lunch and then we'll take a short break before the next meeting.
You can order lobster instead.
But they have lots of money they didn't spend.
Talking about page 7, table 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the restriction. I think imposed on the department.
When was that restriction imposed after they show a $2 billion surplus or before? I don't understand.
This was the 2023 restriction was, after.
So they, the last administration showed a $2 billion surplus.
Yeah.
And they restricted $1 million. So this was just, you just generally took it off your operating budget.
The HL 65 program.
And specifically, how did that affect any of your operations? And 'cause I noticed that on your, you show a November 30th vacancy list here. That's what, table, whatever it is.
Table 11.
Table 11, yeah. Since we're in January now, can you go ahead and maybe update that to see if, have you filled any of those vacancies or?
Okay, we have, as of January 5th, we have 66 vacancies. 22 of those vacancies are in active recruitment.
What about the others?
Those are the priority positions that we want to fill. So that's the 22 that it does. I think the district manager is one of those positions that we're trying to fill.
And you're just gonna leave the others open?
We can't fill them all at the same time because I don't think we are that capacity to put out a list. So so that we just working in statements.
So your limitation is because human resources development.
Yeah, we have two.
Cannot get you enough.
And then on some clear limit that we were to make a list available. We have to put out 20 minutes for us, this for that.
So what's your timetable for filling your priority position?
If we want to, as soon as possible, we need people to help us get the $600 million out of the door. That's our.
So do you have any opportunities to bring in people on an 89-day hire or something like that?
We have, there's been a restriction on 89-day hires, but we're going to have to get that back.
Have you made that request? I know you've only been on the job for a couple of weeks. Would you contemplate doing that in order to get the additional position?
Certainly. Certainly, Senator.
Senator Kim.
Thank you. I want to follow up on your vacancy list. So the vacancies on table 11. I noticed you don't have anything that says expected to fill. The only one is the first one, departmental HR officer 2. Was vacant since 2018, and you have here expected to fill 12/1/2022. Have you filled it?
No.
So you turn this into us. This is after the fact and you don't update it and you keep telling us that you're going to fill it by 12/1/2022. How is this information accurate that we're asking? When we've asked this, the chair asked these questions of you earlier, you folks don't go back and check to make sure your information is updated.
Some of these positions we're in the process of reorg.
Then why don't you note it? I mean, you just give us this list as of November 30th, 2022. You don't update it. You know you're coming before us, and you know we're gonna ask you these questions. And yet it's all vacant, there's no expected fill. We've got positions here from 2015, 2013. All the monies that budgeted, where is that money's gone all those years?
We still have it in the, ACOS.
I'm sorry?
We still have the money in the, ACOS portion of the budget. We haven't moved any of the money about.
Okay, so you're telling me that positions have been vacant since 2018, 2013,
Yeah.
whatever it is, that pile of money has been building up all these years? Or do you then take some of that money and you move it around?
We move the monies down,
Mhm.
for to support the functions that these positions support.
Okay, so this isn't accurate then, because the monies for all these vacant positions is paying somebody else?
No, we're using, we're, hiring, companies to provide support in, like, we don't have, we need support in heavy equipment operations and stuff like that. We go out to bid and bring in people that provide the service in emergency.
Yeah, but you're talking about positions that is as old as 2013, 2015, 2017. So you're telling me that in all these cases, you went out and hired people and you leave these positions on the books with the money in it? You know, because it was leading up to the questions when you're saying, you folks, oh, we only have this many people for outreach. We only have this many people for education. And you're asking for 19 positions, correct? 19 positions that you said weren't filled. So which ones of those 19 are in this list? You had requesting 6 new positions for what? You have all these vacant positions. 19 positions remain unfunded. But what about these positions that are all, according to what I see, is funded?
Yes.
We're having, we have a concept separate to building position. Not that the department doesn't want to build position.
The which ones?
All of them, and then unfunded positions are the ones that have blank amounts in the budgeted amount, the blank. Those are the unfunded positions.
So you want to fund all the positions that are unfunded. These are the 19 positions. I didn't bother to count it. Yet you have all these other positions that are vacant. And so is there an accounting of these monies, or are you moving these monies around? I want to see where those monies, where those salary dollars are going. For all these unfunded, all these funded positions that have gone vacant for years. 2015, you have a planning and development coordinator that's been, and even those unfunded positions, you have no target date of when you plan to fill them. So I'm going to request, Mr. Chair, that anything that's older than 2019 and above, that we delete all those positions. That we just, wipe it all off the books, not just unfunded, but wipe it off. If you're taking the money and using it for something else that's we're not aware of. And if you're not doing that, then let's see the accounting for it.
2015, you get labor over here.
Only one.
Since 2015, no field. Now, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe there's a big qualification to be a labor, but what is the description of labor? Same like with the equipment operator 3. Yeah, all these positions you guys funding. Yeah, you guys get money within the budget that you guys don't need to fund this position, that you guys can subcontract it out. Because that's what you guys doing now. All these positions that you guys have here, I'm just talking about labor and operators, right? You guys been subbing it out all this time. So why should we fund these positions when you guys should just fund it, sub it out now? What you guys doing? Because we giving you guys have this all listed. The one is from 2015. That's a labor position.
Equipment operators, our intent is not to have them vacant. We've been actively recruiting for those positions.
Yeah, I know planning operators. Planning. So I don't know how hard it is. Maybe the application might be too thick. I don't know. I know plenty of operators that is on the bench now. They would love to have one job like this. So how do you apply? Because these vacancies are not short. It's like labor. I know plenty of guys that do labor. They would love to have the job. 2015. So how are we going to be able to trust the fact that you guys are going to fill this in a timely manner? So do we have to put a timetable? 6 months? 8 months? Not cut them one by one? Because 2015 is kind of long. What is the money for 2015? How much is this guy getting paid? 2015.
So let me just
Go ahead.
interject while you're looking for that. If you're actively recruiting, how can you actively recruit for something that's old as 2015 and still be vacant in 2022? Can you answer that?
Pardon?
If you're saying you're actively recruiting,
Yeah.
how can you be actively recruiting a position that's been vacant since 2015 and this is 2022 and it's still not filled? And you have no date as when you intend to fill it by.
We have a list of the positions that we are actively recruiting.
So when
Yeah, but
it's
that's not-
on this list,
it's not
you
on
don't,
this.
But,
wait. It's not in here. Those positions are not included in these vacant positions? Or they're just not denoted on these positions?
So the last time you guys paid for the labor two was 36,000. Now, the position budgeting for 43,000 plus. So since 2015 was the last time you guys had budgeted for 36,000, now it's 43,700 something. So from 2015 to now, there's nobody out there that want to take a labor position job. Where do they qualify? Where do they go on your guys' website? How do you guys go put it out to solicit? Because I can guarantee you right now, make a phone call right now. I can get you 5 guys who come over here for a labor position and operator that want that job. So who's doing that vetting? Because that's too many positions.
That position wasn't actively recruiting.
Okay. So why is it here then?
Yeah, why is?
Why, it's a position that was.
Okay, can you guys clean this up?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
you go over these positions
Okay.
pretty regularly.
Can I make one more note? So, you have from 2013, a homestead development specialist vacant since 2013. You have a homestead specialist, 6, since 2016, and they're all making $60,000 or more. You have, one on 2017, another home housing specialist, 5, and then one on 2019, another specialist at, 4. 2022, another specialist at 5, and these are all homestead housing specialists. I don't know where you have specialists. 7/1/2018, housing specialist again, you know, I mean, so you have all of these. Who's doing your homestead housing? If
Should
they're
be
all
putting guys on the
vacant,
list.
and they've all been vacant for years. So you don't need it then. If they're vacant and you don't need it, we can wipe it out. Right? You've been operating without it. So you don't need it. Now, this is your report to us.
So which of the 22, can you identify at some point, which of the 22 are out now for hiring, for recruitment?
Which one are the 19 positions you want?
Yeah, if you can reconcile both.
Yeah, I know that 3 of them are engineers.
Okay, because the as Senator Kim said, the expected to fill date, that's not completed.
Yeah.
And then the priority number to retain, that's not completed.
Yeah, we can update this expected fill date. And that should identify the 22.
And then if you can note the 19, because it's difficult to fund an additional 19 if you have 16 vacant
The 19 positions.
or 66 vacant.
Yeah, the 19 positions are the blank, see the budgeted amount column. They're 0 salary.
Yeah, but what assurances we have you going to fill it when you haven't even filled all the ones?
That you have money for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
So-
homestead specialist,
You're not filling the planning and developing coordinator for 99,000? What is that? Is that's their salary? Because it says 99,000, 504. Is that something that is estimated or just, more than one position? For the planning and development coordinator, is that more than one position? Because I see number 1 over there. So is that more than one?
No, that's one position.
And is that a year? 99,000? Two thousand and 15? Planning and developing coordinator?
This is civil service position. Yeah. Vacant.
okay, so you have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 specialists or 8 specialists that are vacant, and two of those are unfunded. So you're asking us to fund those 2 when you have all the others that is funded. Right?
Yes,
Why?
because the function is not gonna disappear. The department has a high workload.
No, I understand.
This-
I understand that,
Yeah.
but all of these positions have been vacant, not just as last year. Vacant 2016, 2013, 2017. They've all been vacant. And so you're wanting to fill 2 more, the only 2 that's not funded, you want us to fund it, yet you haven't even filled all those others. So why would we fund those positions? When you can use the funding from these other positions that you haven't filled for all these years and they've been accumulating. That's what you said you're doing. So you have all this money accumulating for these positions that have been vacant. Or if the money is not there from last year and the year before, where did that lump sum of money go? Where did they pay? Did it go to raises? Did it go to hire special positions? Did it go to hire a contractor? Where did that money go?
That money went, pay for A&O costs. All right, administrative, the OCE, other current expenses.
But isn't that supposed to be for salaries?
It
You can
is.
take salary money and. Okay, so what I want you to do, Mr. Chair, can they turn in a list, the current amount of all positions that have been vacant and all of their salaries, what that amounts and where did that money go? For the next years that have been vacant, not just last year, but I want to see that, where the money trail is. Because you're obviously using those salaries to pay for something that I don't know that we approve because it's supposed to be salaries.
So.
I don't know, can we get it by
One more
Friday?
question.
Well, you know what? I think we'll probably continue for another 10 minutes. And then we'll recess until January 19, 4 p.m. Because by then they'll have the commission meeting. And then we can get better answers on the 600 million and continue. Because even I think people still have lots of questions. So we can continue on for another 10 minutes.
Just one fast question. How much civil servants workers you guys have now on staff? Because a lot of the positions that I'm looking at, you guys are saying is civil servant, but it's vacant. So how much on staff right now, civil servant workers you actually have?
I don't know because, we've been converting the exams to civil service. It's a moving target right now, but I can get that answer back to you.
So why are you guys doing that? Why are you guys going away from the civil servants positions?
No, we're going back.
Guys going back?
Yeah,
Again, when did you guys stop?
when we had when we were doing the Nelson case, 2012, 2013. Because the department was, funded. We had a large number of exams. And so with the coming of general funds, we were converting positions to civil service.
Do you think maybe that's the reason why some of these civil service jobs is probably not filled?
Yeah, that's why.
Because of that?
The Y's, you see the exempt?
Yeah.
Yes or no, the Y's are exempts, so that's why there's a large, we still have a large number of exempt.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question. Have the monies been dispersed to the claimants of the Kalima case already?
office. is the one that is responsible for them.
So they'll disperse the money.
Not sure.
Who?
They're the one that released the one.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they were involved, so they
Yeah.
they don't include you then? Attorney General just said they're gonna take it from there?
They're gonna,
My understanding is that the settlement money is in a, I don't know if the right word is escrow account, but it's being held by the judiciary and the claims administrator through their class counsel will be dispersing it once in accordance with the disbursement plan.
Okay, so do they update the commission?
No, Kalima is separate from the HHL and the commission. The commission, it's as far as settlement negotiations are
No,
concerned,
no,
that's
I
what
get
the
that.
attorney
I'm just saying,
does.
do they update the commission to at least let them know how the monies were all spent, the claimants, it's done?
The commission can ask for an update, yes, as to Kalima,
You would
but
think that they would wanna know.
yeah, I think it's a matter of because
I'm not saying they're getting involved.
Sure.
I'm just saying that they should be updated.
we can request that the AGs give regular updates on the status of the settlement, yes.
And what's the plan for utilizing the $2 million for the geothermal?
I am aware that last month an informational only was presented and the response from the commissioners seemed enthusiastic for it. They want to explore it. So I'm not sure what the next step would be. But you know, they look like there's interest in pursuing it.
Okay, is that gonna come up in this coming meeting?
In this budget meeting?
No, in
Oh.
the,
Hawaiian Homes Commission meeting.
Yes, they'll have to have much, you know, they'll have to have talks because it's a very informational only,
so
so.
if you can give us an update when we resume on the 19th.
Okay,
Yeah, then I had a
Mr. Chair, are you asking for an update on Kalima? Just so I'm clear.
No, I wanted the AG to update the commission. They can copy the ledge.
Okay.
Because I would think the commission would be asked by beneficiaries.
As we're talking to beneficiaries across the state, yes, they ask. Comes up.
Okay, if you look at table 14, there's over 1.4 million allocated to contracts that have expired as of July 2022. How are those funds being reallocated?
Most of the contracts are trust funded, which is the T's, special funded, which is the B's, and geo bond funded, which are the C's. And then the A's are the general fund.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So what we focus on is the general funded contracts, the A's, and the geo bond contracts, the C's. There's certain contracts were delayed because of extraordinary type events, like the UX souls. I think that's we're looking at the contracts.
what about the ones that expired of July?
The expired contracts, unless there's a dispute on the contract, a legal dispute, we unencumber the contracts and revert that to general funds.
If they're general fund.
Yeah, or in geo bonds, if the geo bonds didn't elapse.
What's your timetable for doing that then to lapse the money? Does it just lapse on its own, or you have to actually make a request?
Yeah. If it's a prior year appropriation that has a lapse date, you can transfer the funds to another project. Yeah. because it's
No,
a
he's asking if
specific
you can
contract.
request to force lapse it, which will free up bonds.
Correct.
So you don't do that?
We can put it in a project adjustment fund and request from the governor to for another similar project. But you know, it's pretty remote. I haven't seen too many funds going back to that project adjustment fund.
Well, you tried.
Well, we tried. Yeah.
Okay, when you look at the cultural surveys contract, the value of it was about $49,600. But you still have an outstanding balance of about 17.
Okay, the cultural survey contract is for archaeological services. So it's not a type of contract that every month they're gonna do work. It's when they find bones and stuff like that, yeah. So, it's something that we probably would want to keep available.
Okay. Has that been a consistent number that's not spent?
What's the contract number? Or what page is this on?
It's table 14.
Yeah, table 14, and there's a page number on the bottom.
15 of 38.
Okay. Yeah, so
And then you have
yeah, there's $16,000 left on that contract. There's a balance left on the
okay,
contract.
so is that because that's a fund, so you're just gonna lapse that?
It says term of contract till final, because we're not gonna lapse that. Because this is for repatriation of bones.
Okay, and what about the Kalima homesteaders? You have about 500,000, but you still have some.
Yeah,
money.
there's
So
a
that's
balance.
done?
Yeah, there's a balance of $5,000 geo bonds.
So can you identify from this outstanding balance, which ones you're gonna try to force lapse?
Yeah, we can. We just need to talk to the project managers and then also talk to the contractors too. So in this case, the homesteaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this Molokai Community Service, you have 70,000.
Yeah, so we have a $1,000 balance on that. This trust funded.
Okay, but that's that's related to what? Access Deer.
No.
No, this is, I don't know what it is, peer-to-peer pilot.
Peer-to-peer
grant.
pilot. What is that?
It's a grant. Yeah.
What does that do?
It's a department grant awarded through the department's grant program. The grant is supposed to, the peer-to-peer program that the department pursued several years ago was to provide opportunities for existing beneficiaries who are successful to provide peer opportunities to train other peers, other
In ag.
beneficiaries in ag.
So do you guys have reports on after the contracts so we can see the outcome?
As part of the grant requirements, yes, we have grant reports that are required, so we can provide that information to you folks.
Okay. You guys, question?
Yeah, I have a question. On your budget decisions, table is this budget decision? Table 4, decisions. I don't know what that is. It says sufficient sums personnel costs, 212 positions, 12 million. That's your initial department requests. Can you explain all of these? And then the next one is sufficient sums, other current expense, 20 million. Repair and maintenance, 7.7 million. Statewide rehabilitation projects, 15 million. I don't know who can answer that.
Yeah, we have to get back. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So the question is, what are these?
Yeah, you give us this table 4 saying budget decisions. And we
Yes,
just got you talking about all these vacancies, all these positions, and then it says here, sufficient sums personnel costs for 212 positions, 12.875 million for 2024, and then for 2025, another same amount. And then you have sufficient sums other current expenses, 20 million. And just got you telling us that some of these vacant positions are being used for current expenses. So what is that when it says budget decisions? I don't understand. Or am I the only one that don't understand?
You guys made a request, right? And then
Yes.
the governor says yes or no, or amend,
yes,
and then BNF puts it in the budget depending on what it is.
correct.
So that's what this is?
Yeah.
Just,
So if they made a request, you can ask, some of their requests may not have gotten in. Ige, sometimes the departments didn't ask and he would add something in.
okay, so what they're saying is that you need $12.8 million to have sufficient personnel costs to pay for all your current salaries? Is that what that is for?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that with or without the vacancies?
That's with the
Funded
vacancies.
vacancies? That's with the
Yeah.
vacancies, and you're gonna get me back the total number of your vacancy costs, right? So
Yes.
that can be minus out of this 12.875. I mean, if we
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
not to fund any of those vacant positions, we could actually minus it out of the 12.875. Is that correct? I mean, my mind of thinking. Yes, and then other current expenses. Can you give us a listing of what those other current expenses?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Are you gonna be asking for those same amounts
Yes.
through governor's messages?
That's a discussion with the governor. Yeah, I'm not privy to that.
Okay. I think some of our concern is that you do have a lot of money. You're asking for more money. You're asking to fund positions, but then it doesn't seem like we're able to fill the positions or spend the money. So it's hard to justify funding more positions and giving more money when you can't seem to spend it.
Or want to spend.
Yeah, I know. It's not that the department doesn't want to fill the positions, it's trying.
But what about WikiWiki? Other departments have used WikiWiki with DHERD. Have you tried WikiWiki?
No, we haven't.
And I can't speak to what prior administrations have done. Another opportunity that our leadership team has had, Mr. Chair, is even holding job fairs amongst our beneficiaries, giving them an opportunity to join the team and service our beneficiaries.
Yeah, but the WikiWiki
We can look at
can
that.
expedite the hiring process. I think it's a week now, yeah? Instead of 6 months.
Yeah.
And that is an opportunity that we need to look at, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, if you don't put those things in place, it's hard for us to fund any of it because it doesn't seem like there's a plan to actually hire and spend.
Understand the concern, Chair.
Okay, I just had a quick question there before on the blood quantum. What's the position of the commission on the blood quantum?
I can't tell you what the position of the commission is on the blood quantum, Chair. Again, I haven't had that discussion with them. I haven't had a discussion with the majority members of the commission
Is that
on any of this.
successorship? Is that on
Yeah,
successorship?
yeah, so
The position was that they felt that it wasn't needed according to your last chair.
Waiting for Congress.
No, and I'm waiting for the minutes because you guys had them in you guys' minutes. So I still been waiting for that to trickle down to us,
But
which
I
is,
heard my former congressman said that he was submitting something.
Yeah.
That's why he's a former congressman. So I'm still asking, where's the minutes from the commission meeting that they did not want the successorship blood quantum because they felt that it wasn't needed? And it came from them voting on it as well as the Attorney General's office. That was told to me by for your former chair in front of former Governor Ige as well as his chief of staff, Linda Chu Takayama. I would love to see those minutes.
Chair, our administration will work to get you those minutes. That's a fair request.
Okay, well, the only reason why I'm asking about that is if Congresswoman Takuda is successful in lowering the blood quantum, then that increases the amount of beneficiaries that we're gonna have to take care of.
Yes.
And so if we can barely take care of what we got now, I don't know how we're gonna do this.
We passed that law.
No, yeah.
That's why they're
Yeah.
trying in Congress.
Well, it wasn't to do that. It was that you would transfer down so that the individual would not sell the property. It was to keep it in perpetuity, which is what this body as well as.
Yeah, so people on the list though,
Yeah.
who are with the, have the blood quantum now, they can pass it on to someone who has a lesser.
But they
blood-
cannot go back on the list.
Person who passed it
But-
on. can-
Yeah, once you pass them on, you cannot go back on. That was the intent of that bill, so that the individual that wouldn't have the cocoa would not sell it.
No,
And that's
yeah,
what's happening.
yeah.
They were selling them to the highest bidder, evading the person at the top of the list.
And then. let's see. How many DHHL homes are currently using cesspools?
Oh, a lot.
We have currently about 2,500 cesspools on Hawaiian homelands.
Okay, so are you including as part of the 600 million to address that problem?
No,
So how are you
It's not.
planning to address that problem?
that's through our repair and maintenance purpose for asks. So in some cases, we're looking at improving the sewer lines to go into areas where cesspools are located. In some other areas, it'll be conversions to septic systems, but we're doing
So
and
do you have a plan?
we're putting that plan together. So
Oh,
we have been
Okay, before you
doing,
ask us for money, you should give us a plan,
Mhm.
not ask for money and then come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Because then we know how much it's gonna cost.
And how long it's gonna take you to?
What are you gonna do first?
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, on the 19th, I counted 20 pages of your contracts. Can you denote which ones are for your financial literacy and some of this other outreach if it's contracted?
Yeah, and then to follow up with that, on the financial literacy, because I know that OHA provides financial literacy too. Do you folks work with them, or should you guys just have OHA do financial literacy and then we just not do any other financial literacy contracts?
And then can we have a list of how many 89-day hires they have and who's the 89-day hires?
Yeah, that should be on your chart, but the chart
It's not-
it's not, doesn't seem accurate.
So can they update that?
We don't have any 89-day hires.
No?
It's been limited to hiring full-time, permanent or.
Really?
employees.
So you don't have no 89-day hires?
No.
You used to have 89-day hires, right?
No.
You never had 89-day
We
hires?
did, but they, it was discontinued.
When? When was that?
To the administration.
a freeze on it.
When was this?
We used to have 89.
Yeah, but when did they do away with it? So aren't there people in this room that might have been on 89-day hires? before
No,
COVID?
this way 89-day hires.
That were on 89-day,
Yeah, they used to be.
they all been converted?
No. We got that, people that were retirees or people that were available to do different tasks, but, some of the existing staff.
Okay, so there are no 89-day hires.
No.
So then the direct question is, when William Ayla became director, after my intense opposition, because I knew that he was gonna hire Joby, and he started him off as an 89-day hire. But she started off as an 89-day hire, or is she still there? Is Joby still at the DHHL?
No.
And when was that? The last time she was there? When was the last time she was there? 'Cause that's how she came in.
Last year.
She ended November last year?
Yeah. She retired.
Last year meaning 2022 or 2020?
2022.
2022, so just this past November.
Yeah.
So you've had 89-day hires, recent 89-day hires.
Don't you look at Ian?
She was an
Executive
89-day,
assistant.
she was an 89-day hire.
No.
Okay, and if you go back to your variance report, V61, this is the one, program ID 625. If you look at the program activity, there's a number of planning studies initiated. You had budgeted for 41, but you only did 8. Can you guys tell us what happened?
Senator, Chair, the majority of our planning studies are funded from our trust funds, so that's why the
But
the
your-
numbers show up.
Yeah, but whatever you budgeted whatever you planned was supposed to be included in your budget. So that means you didn't spend the money?
The majority of our planning studies are funded through our trust funds, not through general funds.
Yeah, but you still had budgeted for it. It says, if you look at the variance report, you had budgeted for what you planned, but you only ended up doing 8 versus 41. So if you can just let us know, what were the 41 plans you had planned to do? And which were the 8 plans that you completed? Because I'm not sure how those plans integrate with everything else that we're talking about.
The majority of our plans, as Chair Anderson had mentioned, are at the regional level. So those are the regional plans that the department utilizes to consistently communicate with our homestead communities.
Okay,
But-
so if you can just list for us the actual 41 plans you had planned to do. And then the 8, of the 41, the 8 that you actually completed.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll recess until January 19th, 4 p.m. in this room. Okay, recess.